Consequence Podcast Network.
My friendship to all of you precludes my involvement with any one of you. But if you wanna make love, then I do too, and I'll be right there behind you. All in the name of oh, all in the name of oh, all in the name of oh.
Greetings, constant listeners, and welcome to the Losers Club, a Stephen King podcast presented by the Consequence Podcast Network. I'm Michael Rothman, editor-in-chief and president of Consequence of Sound, and I'm here with my co-hosts,
Randall Colburn, the rockin' one,
and Mackenzie Gerber.
Now, you can hear us pretty well, right? I think so. That's
Yes.
because we're recording from a studio here in Chicago, Illinois. That wasn't always the case, though. When we started this podcast, we were actually huddled around an old Yeti microphone in Mac's apartment that he doesn't even live in anymore.
That's right.
And there were not 4 or 3 of us. There were like 6 or 7. So we wanted to go back to our older episodes and make sure that you, constant listener, actually have a good grasp on knowing that this is not how it's always going to sound. You know, it's a very rough quality, and we just happen to have that rough quality over Stephen King's most iconic books. So
Yeah, it's rough. But I'd say, for Carrie, Salem's Lot, The Shining, Rage, and The Stand, I believe.
Night Shift, too.
Yeah.
And Night Shift.
Yeah.
We recorded those episodes in a very sort of primitive way, doing our best. That was before we got our studio, which makes us sound so lovely.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you'll notice that the audio quality is going to be a little bit not up to par, but I'd say the content of the conversations are still very, very good. I'm very proud of the analysis we did. You'll notice a few other changes too, like in these early episodes, we talk about everything.
Everything.
Yeah, we didn't now we stretch our legs a bit. We do separate episodes for the movies, for other things. And for here, we're basically like, let's talk about all the Stephen King news, as well as the book, as well as the films, as well as the plays, as well as everything. So these episodes run long. Well, I mean, a lot of ours do, but these run extra long because we're talking about those things. And you'll also notice that kind of the way that we break down our conversations now is a little bit different. We refine that over time.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'll notice that it's a little bit rougher, but it's the same quality Losers Club content
And
that
these,
you've always wanted.
these episodes nearly killed us. The Night Shift episode, I got the flu because we recorded everything.
We
in one
recorded
day.
for 11 hours straight,
Yeah.
I think.
Two episodes back to back covering all 20 stories?
All 20 stories
And the movies.
And the movies. It was exhausting. I think towards the end of the episode, I started fading away.
Dan started crying.
I cried in the Shining episode, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, these episodes are special.
They're very good episodes.
They're very special episodes, but we did want to make sure that you didn't go into this podcast thinking that it's going to sound like this forever. Because obviously, as you could hear from us right now, that's just not the case.
Yeah, if you're just popping in to hear like, oh, I love Salem's Lot, I'm going to check out this new podcast. Why does it sound like they're recording underwater? You know, we just never really thought that. I think that, we were testing things out. We were seeing if anybody would even care if we did this podcast. And luckily, a lot of you guys did care, and you listened and supported us and followed us on social media. And so we were able to, beef up the sound, make things sound better, expand our lineup, and refine the way that we do things as it is now. So.
Because so much has changed since 2017, not only with us, but the whole world at large. And you're going to hear about all of it as you're journeying through each one of these episodes. So why don't we let you take your bagged lunch and your old warm cup of coffee and enjoy a long, long, long night shift.
Welcome once again to the Losers Club, a Stephen King podcast from Consequence of Sound. With you, as always, is me, a host. My name is Randall Colburn, and I'm a senior staff writer with Consequence of Sound. We are on our 3rd episode of our Night Shift series of episodes because, there's just so gosh darn much to talk about. So if you haven't listened to our previous episodes where we talked about our 10 least favorite stories in Night Shift and then our 10 favorite stories in Night Shift, you're not required to go back right now and listen to them. You can probably listen to this episode without that. but it might be good. And we would, really like the listens. But for you guys who have listened and have given us iTunes reviews or commented on our Facebook or our Twitter or our Instagram, we really appreciate it. We love talking to you guys and hearing from you guys. And, if you haven't left us an iTunes review yet, please do, because it really, really helps our ranking in the iTunes store and just gets more ears on the podcast. As you guys have been listening, like I said, we talked about all the Night Shift stories so far, and there's so many film adaptations of these that we needed to basically devote an entire episode to it. So that's what we're doing right now. We're going to talk about all the film adaptations from Night Shift, even some of the, what are they called?
Babies.
The dollar babies.
Love those dollar babies.
Yeah, we got
Some of them are great.
Yeah.
You might say they're $1 million babies.
Actually, no, that doesn't make any
That
sense.
doesn't make any sense, yeah. No.
But yeah, so we're going to do that. But before we get started, we're going to go around and introduce ourselves. And we're going to discuss, I think we might have touched on this a little in previous episodes, but let's all just talk about the first Stephen King movie we remember seeing. I'll start. Again, my name is Randall Colburn. I feel like I saw scenes from Carrie when I was really young, but it didn't register. I didn't really know what it was. I think I walked into my parents watching it once, and it was when she's covered in blood, and my mom grabbed me and ushered me out of the room. But I was so scared of horror movies when I was young, deathly afraid of them, that I really avoided them. So honestly, the first Stephen King movie that I watched in its entirety was The Stand, which is what led me to read my first Stephen King book, which was The Stand. So it was an important watch for me. Mike?
Well, the first horror movie that I ever saw
Wait,
by
who are
Stephen
you?
King. Oh, this is yeah.
Who
Sorry,
are you?
just jumped right in. I'm Michael Rothman. I'm editor in chief of Consequence of Sound, and I am also a Stephen King aficionado, as you've learned over the past 6 episodes. But no introductions necessary. I assure you. But my first Stephen King experience as a film was when my own dog savagely started eating my mother in front of my eyes. And I had to shoot him in the head. No, I'm joking. No, that did not happen. But
Dolores Claiborne?
I actually Dolores Claiborne. Yeah. I was actually thrown in a well at one point by my father. He's like, I don't want my children anymore. But anyway, I Pet Sematary. It honestly was my first one I saw. I loved the poster. I insisted on us renting it. Unlike Randall, I was not afraid of horror movies because they were an escape from the horror movie that was my house, I loved renting these movies at Blockbuster. So I did not have any restrictions on my account for Blockbuster. They had a little note that said this kid could rent everything. So everybody
Really?
They did. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they had.
I want that.
Which is why I was this little pudgy fat kid that was coming in there being like, I want to get a Sega Genesis game and then also two horror movies right now and Sega Genesis. And it was awful. But so Pet Sematary really was the first one just because of that poster, and it terrified me. And I don't think I don't think I really finished it. I think I watched up until maybe the Stella, or not the Stella. The Stella.
Zelda?
The Zelda I watched up until the Zelda sequence, and
that's
it's an early morning.
fucking terrifying.
And it's terrifying.
Yeah.
And I think I turned it off at that point, and I probably finished it with my father later that night, but I don't remember. But so yeah, that was definitely my first.
I picture your father waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Mike, we must finish Pet Sematary.
It probably was actually.
On that note, I'm Justin Gerber. I'm with Consequence of Sound as well. I'm also a King aficionado, as well as a cigar aficionado.
Oh, you like cigars?
Great magazine too. You should check that out if you can. My earliest memory would be way back in the '80s with Stephen King. It was a local Phoenix, I think it was a Fox affiliate, TV 45. Any of you Phoenicians listening? Arizonians listening out there, if you could back me up on that. And it was a
If
little
they
movie.
are, they probably are really happy.
They're probably living the high life right now.
Yeah.
But I lost my train of thought because of all the rage going through me right now. But it was Silver Bullet on the old channel, and which is a fun little horror movie, fun little werewolf movie we'll be talking about in a couple months. I remember an early crush of mine was Megan Follows, who played the older sister in Silver Bullet. And she was Anne in Anne of Green Gables.
that's right.
I had a little
Who
crush
played
on
Green Gables?
Clark Gable.
I'm Dan Caffrey, senior staff writer at Consequence of Sound. My first Stephen King cinematic memory, I actually didn't know it was a Stephen King movie at the time. It was Cat's Eye, but specifically the troll segment in it. My
General.
dad had, I think, just put that on VHS for me, but not the other two. And I mean, Cat's Eye isn't really that graphic of a movie, but as a 4-year-old, I don't think you're gonna be interested in The Ledge or Quitters Inc. So he just put the General on there, and I think I always put it in the same league as like Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, the kind of twisted puppet movies that I liked a lot when I was younger, and still like. And then later on, I saw. After I'd read Night Shift, I saw Cat's Eye, and I'm like, oh, this is a Stephen King property. Even though The General's not based on a short story of his, but he did write the screenplay. So, yeah, I remember that little troll causing mischief while a police cover plays in the background.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
they couldn't get the rights to Every Breath You Take, so they had to do a cover of it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Sad. Yeah.
That's so funny.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. To piggyback off that, I'm Mackenzie Gerber, and I'm a co-host of Gerber and Gerber on Consequence of Sound. I watched Cat's Eye. I think Cat's Eye or The Stand. Like, I mean, I watched a lot of this stuff when I was young, really young, but I think it was probably Cat's Eye on TV or something. It was horribly edited, and or The Stand. But probably The Stand. I don't want to go back. I think I said that in like episode 1. So I'm going to say The Stand.
Someone's listening.
And
they're
I
being
will stand by it.
And with that, we're gonna do the movies in order that they are in the book. So, in that vein, we're gonna start with Graveyard Shift.
And really quick note, the Dollar Babies we'll be discussing separately, so I don't think there's a Dollar Baby of Jerusalem's Lot, but if we get to any of these and you're like, oh no, there's a Dollar Baby of Lawnmower
Yeah, we didn't
Man.
watch all the Dollar Babies. We just watched a couple.
Yeah, please keep in mind. You now watch the hundreds.
Yeah.
We did watch a bunch, but
Yeah.
we will also conceptualize some of these as films towards the end. That'll be a separate chapter of this.
I wasn't prepared to do that. so-
Well, we'll that's when we'll have a little more fun.
Oh, boy.
All right, great. Well, let's just have Dan. Why don't you just give us an idea of what Graveyard Shift is like as a film?
So Graveyard Shift as a film is well, not much of a film to be honest, but and I think it goes back to the problem of they took this this very short story and they tried to stretch it out. Now in the film, from what I remember, they actually don't capitalize on the gross rat stuff as much. The kind of big reveal is that it's actually this bat, this like huge blind bat that's in the cellar killing people. And I don't know, it's not as scary. So I mean, it's the same basic plot as the novel. It's in this mill and they need to clean up the basement and people are getting killed and they have to find the source of it and it's this giant bat. And they add in some more conflict with
the foreman.
Yeah, the foreman. There's an exterminator and all that. And my roommate Bill in college, who he directed the Dollar Baby version of Survivor Type from Skeleton Crew, which is actually great. Good friend
really
of Mike and Mac and I. Bill, for whatever reason, he just went on this Stephen King like binge in college, was just buying every single Stephen King movie you could find. And he bought Graveyard Shift, and we watched it quite a bit. For it being not like a great movie, there is something very B movie and campy about it. And I will say this, there's not a ton of great stuff in the movie, but I kind of like how the bat looks. It's kind of slimy and gross. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember watching it with Justin, I think. I can't remember
This is
when
another.
this was. But
when we were Phoenicians.
yeah, and I remember thinking, especially because a bat was involved, I thought, oh, this is going to be like a vampire story. And then when I realized it was just a giant bat, it wasn't that impressive. But yeah, I didn't really like it. I just remember being in awe that I think what was his name's in it? The dad from Monster Squad.
The dad from Monster
is the
Squad.
Foreman, right?
I think he's the foreman.
Yeah, and I always liked that little connection.
And it also stars Brad Dourif.
Who he is very. I think Brad
the
Dourif.
exterminator.
Yeah.
Brad Dourif is the exterminator. Is one of the only people in the movie who I think can. He's really because he's a really good actor anyway, but he's really good at handling kind of campier, over the top material.
Let's not also forget about Andrew Divoff.
I was going to say the Wishmaster himself is in this. I mean, the supporting cast is strong in this. I don't know.
Hey, it even has the guy who basically started the apocalypse in the Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines, David Andrews.
Oh, a young David Andrews.
Well, and I
David
think the issue with Graveyard Shift, it's not even the casting necessarily. I think it's just this idea that it's just hard to make a movie unless you're doing something radically different. It's really hard to stretch this short, gross story into like a 90-minute movie.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I feel like after reading the short story, because I watched a lot of these adaptations before I ever read Night Shift or was familiar with the stories. It's so apparent that they just, for some reason, it's like you have this great base, but they just didn't add anything to it. It's like they just stretched it out for another hour, and it's just not interesting.
The quote unquote MacGuffin isn't very interesting. Like the idea of like awful rats. Like, you got to do something a little more clever with the story than just being able to say, like, well, there's a bunch of rats down here. Like, you need to have, like, some sort of tension, and I don't think this film gets
No,
that.
and the problem is the book, and we've gone over how the short story, the character development isn't great in it necessarily, but the thing that it is good at is it's really good at ramping up. Okay, first there's a rat above the ground, then we go down, there's a lot of them, then they're getting bigger, then some of them are blind, then some of them have wings, then there's this big cow rat. It just does this ramp up progression that's great, that's perfect for gross out horror, and the movie doesn't do that. They don't really do much with the rats themselves. It's like, oh, there's rats, and then there's this huge bat, and I think if and that's probably for budgetary reasons, but if they had been able to really just build and build and build and just like push that grossness, I think it could have been a more effective
I think to
horror
echo
movie.
what you were saying, Dan, with a short story, you can kind of get away with a lack of character development.
Yeah.
You only have 15 pages or so. But when you're making a 90-minute movie, you do have to add a lot more. And again, these are basically the same. A lot of these characters are based on characters from the short story. I think the Exterminator was obviously an addition.
He's added, yeah.
But there's just boring boys going down to the tunnels.
I'll just say that I think building off what you said, Dan, about the ramping up, but I think what's great about it is that even though it ramps up in that sense, it's still, there's something so overwhelming about it, because we see like one rat, and then you go down, and then it's like a flood of rats, and then and that's enough to fuck your senses, and then it gets worse and worse and worse, and like in such a short period that it benefits from being nice and tight, because it goes from like 0 to 60 and then crashes, and it's like it needs that the constrained quality of the short story, because if you're drawing it out, you and then like you said, like you don't get the escalation to the bat. You get sort of like the rats and then the bat, where you need the escalation and like that moment of like it has to happen quickly. I feel like
Because in the story, as they continue to go deeper, this guy starts to kind of get it more and more unhinged. So much so he ends up like forcing this guy to go deeper into the tunnel and got by the giant rat bat blind thing.
Because a bat is what finally kills the main character in the short story at the end. Remember, because he sees the cow rat, and as he's running away, one of the flying rats like puts the wing in his face and wraps its tail around.
Which is so freaky.
Does anyone else like the way the bat looks, though? I think the bat's kind of.
I remember
nice
just
looking.
from the trailer, you see everything, and they do show the giant.
It looks
bat
all
in the
right. It's
trailer.
kind of it's big, it's slimy, it's hairless.
But again, it was like
not
pre-CG, and I always appreciate the monster work that's done in these movies.
I want to also say it's incredible to think that if this type of movie was released today, it would go straight to on demand. It would go straight to iTunes.
Yeah.
It was #1 at the box office.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
And
And the incredible thing about this style of movie is it's one of those straight to VOD, not even a limited release. So it's crazy to think how much has changed in the last 25, 30 years.
What other King movie had come out right before that? Maybe it was riding the coattails.
I want to say
popular.
right. I think the same year or a year before is Pet Sematary.
Yeah.
It was also
And that was a huge success.
And that was a big success.
that book I read, the Stephen King films FAQ, which is great. It talked about how this was in kind of the glut of Stephen King adaptations, which the 80s, if you look at the number of Stephen King movies in the 80s, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And there aren't a ton of good ones. And they for the premiere of this, and this is something I think is important to note, because I think this is cool. They did film it in Maine, and Stephen King made a big deal in the 80s about trying to kind of vitalize the film industry there. And so he did get excited that they did actually film it on location at a mill. Like, I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think he really did him and the producers take some measures to try and really contribute to the community and create jobs. I think that's really cool. And then they had the premiere of the movie. I have to look at the city. It might be like the Bangor Mall or something. It was whatever like movie theaters attached to the mall, and Stephen King went to it, and they had a giant rat cake that they cut. And so I don't know. There's like a down home sort of element of the movie, and a lot of the Stephen King 80s movies that were filmed in Maine that, although they didn't necessarily result in a great product, I respect that they tried to like.
Well, they weren't trying
do
to.
something.
They weren't trying to reinvent the wheel.
No,
it's like it. I think that maybe for that time and where horror was at that time, it was probably a fine way to spend your evening.
Yeah, and it's a creature feature. Yeah.
This is also an early little cautionary tale, because I remember reading about how Stephen King was really quote unquote liked Graveyard Shift and really was propping it up. And
He
then,
was promoting it.
promoting, and years later dismisses it. So anytime I hear about how perfect he thinks it is, how great he thinks The Dark Tower is, let's he's getting some money off of this.
In his interest to say that these things are great.
Let's not get too excited about these things. That's all I'm saying.
Is there a better movie that could have been made of Graveyard Shift?
I think there's a better short film.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if this was in Cat's Eye or something. I think if you tightened it up and delved into the deeper we go, the more things we were going to find, it could be really good.
I think there's two ways you can go about any of these short stories, and that's either you make it more of a suspense thriller where you don't even reveal the rats until near the end. You make it much more of a mystery with like a real top filmmaker, or you, like you said, you just shorten it, make it like a really gross 15-minute short film.
Tales from the Crypt episode.
Tales from the Crypt episode would have been
absolutely.
perfect for this type
Well,
of story.
there is such a great innate fear here. The idea of if you see one rat, the imagination makes you, or you see like one cockroach like in your apartment, you suddenly have that moment where you're like, oh my god, in the walls it's just a wall of cockroaches. Like you don't know where it's coming from, and that's sort of what that, you remember the finger story in Skeleton Crew?
Is it the moving finger or something like that?
The one that comes out of the drain.
Yeah.
Which is a great Stephen King story, but I love the idea of like whatever it is that's coming that is down there, like that's just the finger. Like it's so much bigger than that, you know? And I feel like that's sort of, I love that kind of fear. And like, I think that is the most powerful thing about the story of Graveyard Shift is the idea that you see this rat, you see this other rat, but underneath it's not just like a family of rats, it's like a world, like a society of rats.
Yeah.
And that to me like plays upon really potent fears. But when you can't show that escalation, that ramping up that you were talking about, the de-evolution of the rats, the blindness, the wings, and everything, then you kind of lose that horror.
I think it would have been cool if they discovered the king of the rats is the Rat Man from The Stand. he's in the
And then the Rat Man forgive you this time.
And then the movie ends.
That would be amazing, Mel. I would have been on board with that.
Do you guys think it's safe to say? I mean, obviously, I don't think any of us love Graveyard Shift the film. I actually don't. I don't think it's the worst movie on this list, and I don't think it's the worst.
It's not
Stephen
the worst
King
movie
adaptation.
on this list. It's not. I mean, I don't like the movie. I haven't seen this movie in over 20 years personally, but I remember not liking it when I saw it. I remember having no desire to see it again. Looking back, terrific supporting cast.
Yeah.
Good FX too.
And I do think that for whatever reason, maybe it's because it had a semi-high profile release. Graveyard Shift, I feel like it just gets remembered as being like one of the worst Stephen King movies. And like I said, it's not great, but I don't think it's. I definitely don't think it's the worst. I don't even think it's the worst on this list.
There are worse ways.
So,
We're about to talk about a far worse film.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let's move into that. The next one we're going to talk about was released in 1995, and it's based on what I would have dubbed an unfilmable story, and that's The Mangler.
Randall, let me just tell you, it's still an unfilmable story.
The Mangler, 1995's Mangler, was directed by Tobe Hooper, so you think maybe this could be, pretty scary, pretty good. You got Robert Englund in there, hamming it up like crazy. Ted Levine's in it, so we were like, oh, maybe this will be actually entertaining. And it was entertaining, but in a different way. For those of you that don't or aren't familiar with The Mangler, here's a little description for you. Police and parapsychologists race against the clock to stop a demonic laundry presser that demands blood sacrifice. That's right. There's a movie. It's an hour and 46 minutes of that.
Jeez.
How many times people just happen to get close to this laundry press and then are attacked is nuts. It's crazy. The movie is awful.
Well, how? Because I haven't seen The Mangler. So how do they? Is it more about the mythology behind it? Like, what do they pad it out with? It's just the mystery the whole time.
It generally follows the story pretty well, but they just add a lot of stuff to it. Like Robert Englund plays like the owner of the laundry press, and
hamming it up every minute.
He apparently had been mangled at some point to an extent.
Is that why he has like a
he's
fake
got,
arm?
He's got a voice box. He's got scars, braces. He has an eye patch. I mean, he takes it to like the 50th level in this movie, just like stomping around with his leg braces on.
Would you say that he was mangled and that he was mangled so hard that he came to respect the mangler.
Well, that's the thing in the movie.
Yes.
It's almost like a cult of people that have like fed blood to this machine and become like a part of the demon.
Ooh, that's kind of cool.
No.
It's an interesting idea, but it just is. It's laughable. The machine's laughable.
If you're gonna make a movie of the mangler, that's a decent way to try to make it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You guys are you're trying to feed me shit. I'm just hearing gold in my ears right now.
Let me say this.
I'll tell you this. This is no
Dan.
gold. Silence is golden, and that's a lot better than
That-
watching this goddamn
I'll just say
movie.
this: the reveal of that, though, Dan, doesn't happen until like the last 2 minutes. It's not like you
Yeah.
guys figure
Yeah,
out.
okay, yeah.
No,
this
this
is interesting.
the greatest part about the Mangler is being able to make fun of it for about an hour and 46 or
Yeah.
whatever, how long it is. Because what we kept doing was we would pause the film and go, we could only have like 20 more minutes in this. And it'd be like an hour and 10 minutes left, or like,
Man.
or like, another 40 minutes that we would go by when they'd already seemingly solved the entire thing. I mean, there's a point in the film where there's no more mystery left anymore. Like they're like absolutely know what's going on.
Literally 35 minutes into the movie,
Yeah.
they already come to the conclusion
Yeah.
that it's probably possessed. And the way it gets possessed is really crazy.
Oh
there's
my
a
God.
there's a fridge that was possessed, and by transference, when it randomly hits the mangler because they're moving it out of this facility and happen to be by the laundry press, it is electrocuted, and
But that doesn't even make any
it
sense
doesn't-
either.
because it's not because
Because
there's
they
been
already
no
had the cult.
blood. There's been no blood. Well, yeah, exactly. There apparently this is already this cult, and it's already been
Yeah.
possessed. But they try to explain it like, well, it was possessed by this ice box, which is from the story, which I
Yeah.
appreciate. Which I think is the scarier part of the story, actually. But yeah, it's ridiculous. Ted Levine his coat gets caught, and he shoots his coat off to get away from it. It's so crazy.
It's also one of these movies when you're watching it and you just know there is no way in hell this was shot in the United States of America. They try to make it, it's definitely shot somewhere in Maine. Of course it takes place in Maine. I was like, no, that actor is absolutely from South Africa.
Yeah.
This is definitely shot in South Africa. And it turned out it was like South Africa and
Yeah.
Australia where they ended up having to go to...
How would you describe the
film it.
gore effects?
The gore...
Well, while you describe the gore effects, do it in Ted Levine's voice.
Well, I thought the gore effects were pretty. It was a lot of fun going back and filming with Toby, and he was a great
Well, I feel
fun
like
to be around.
I feel like the best part of the story is sort of the uncanny description of people's bodies being pressed in that unnatural way.
Yeah.
Are they able to capture that?
Well, there's some really cool effects, but you only catch glimpses of the aftermath of them being quote unquote mangled.
Sure.
Which is disappointing because if you freeze frame it, you see I'm sure a lot of money was put into this effect. I wonder if this was a ratings issue or something. Like they couldn't linger on these destroyed bodies.
I don't know, because in those moments when people are being mangled, they literally show them being like folded and pressed, and it is pretty graphic and good, but there's so much of the movie that's not that, where it's just like Ted Levine and his friends sitting in like their like Firefly garden talking about life, and you're just like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like you have like the ability to do these things, and I mean they do some strange CG stuff at the end when the Mangler comes alive, but for the most part it's like practical effects and cool kind of gory stuff, but it's just barely there.
I mean, it's another one of these latter day post Funhouse Toby Hooper efforts where everything is so brightly lit. It's just it takes you right out of it. It just looks and feels so cheap, and it's incredible when you think of like a Toby Hooper, or even I love him, but John Carpenter, and how these directors kind of run past their expiration date as innovative or interesting filmmakers.
On Mick Garris's podcast, Postmortem, because he's good friends with all those guys,
Yeah.
he was talking about that to. Oh no, I'm sorry. It was the Brett Easton Ellis podcast. Mick Garris was a guest on it, and he was talking to Brett Easton Ellis about like horror directors going past their prime. And what he said about Toby Hooper, and it made sense to me, was he was like Toby's brilliant. He's a visionary, but he's only as good as the script is. Like I don't think he's. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is an amazing script. I mean, it's not much of a script. It's just kind of a situation. Even Funhouse, and I think I wonder if. I think he's just a director who needs a good script, and if he has that, he can make, literally genius horror movies out of it. But I think in the case of The Mangler, like I said, having not seen it, but it doesn't sound like the script is great.
Well, I've got some inside info. when Ted Levine did a Random Rolls,
I was about
on
to talk
AV
about
Club,
this. Yeah, I got the same notes. It's funny.
He did. He talked about the Mangler, and I'll give a read what he says because it's really fun. So they asked him about the Mangler, and he said, I was horrified when one of the principal crew people just thought the Mangler was a masterpiece. That was a gas. The Mangler was fun. I mean, it was in South Africa, and one of the beauties of this business is that you get to go to these weird places. Of course, they're places that are on the verge of war, basically, and this was right before the elections there. I had all these white girls wanting to marry me and get the fuck out of there. It was hysterical.
Oh yeah, because they would have filmed this right before apartheid ended. So so South and I don't know if he was in Cape Town or somewhere else, but like my wife's South African, constant listener, so I've been there a couple times, and it's I love South Africa. Even today, there's a lot of tension there today too, and back then, I mean, holy hell, like
94,
like
right at the
worst,
precipice.
Worst time to be there. And I know what other Stephen King properties being filmed in South Africa that we're a little worried about.
The Dark Tower.
Yeah.
Maybe. Hopefully it's better than the Mangler, I guess.
Well, we'll see. Well, Ted Levine went on to say, and Toby Hooper, he kicked ass. They had no budget for that. I don't know who was producing that, but there was money from some strange place. And we were in South Africa, and the Mangler, once it morphs into the monster, they had built the monster, and we went into this warehouse. I went in there with Toby and the writer to see what it looked like, and it looked like the 4-H had built a fucking float. It was this big kitty cat looking thing with an articulated arm, but it was just the most ridiculous thing. And Toby was like, God damn it, that's not... What the fuck? What the hell is this? I can't use that. That's funny, and it's not supposed to be funny. He was out of his mind. But that's what I remember about the Mangler. They ended up getting the money to do this weird primitive computer generated deal, I think. But I think the Mangler has some merit for those who appreciate a schlocky kind of grade D horror movie. He says, I know I do.
I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I had a much more, I guess, a fun time watching this as opposed to some of these other boring ass horror movies that we're going to talk about. I think we've really undersold how horrible Robert Englund is in this film. I need to make this clear.
Say, he's this old, decrepit, like disgusting old man that like has girls working at the factory, but no one gets a free ride. And like apparently he's like sleeping with them, and it's ridiculous.
He puts on this like grotesque effect, like this voice, this kind of hey, I'm over here. Really grandiose. Half of his scenes take place with him on like this catwalk looking over at the events happening and then yelling at people about what's happening. And you feel like these were all shot
in 5 minutes.
These were all shot like in 5 to 10 minutes, like 2 months after the shoot was done. It's one of those type of movies.
Well, he probably had an opera to attend or something.
Yeah, with like, with Fulci and
constant listeners, we are endlessly amused by Robert Englund's relentless name dropping in interviews and kind of the way he props up his cultured.
He always says I'm a classically trained actor, which if you say that just means you either got a master of fine arts in acting.
Well, let's pause for a second, because only a classically trained actor would have been able to pull off this role with the chutzpah that he offers in this. I mean, at one point. I don't even think that he realizes he's in the same movie anymore.
Oh no, he's gone off.
There's a point where he's in a room with like this woman, and he's like threatening her or something. And I remember turning to you guys and being like, "Are we watching the same movie anymore?" Like I feel like we're watching like a Showtime like a weird dark Red Shoe Diaries thing where like
Well, you seem like when you're a classically trained actor, you can shift and change your complete character in like a moment's notice.
And look, to be fair, we're huge Nightmare on Elm Street fans.
Yeah,
Robert Englund, and I mean, from what I can gather, he's a very nice person. But even in that Never Sleep Again documentary, the makeup guy says he's like, we love Bob, but oh god, putting on his makeup every day, he would just sit there and talk for 8 hours straight about like all these like celebrities he knows. So remember he says that, and like you never hear a bad word about him. So I think he's nice to everyone. He sounds easy to work
Bob,
with.
that type
exactly.
of thing.
He's kind of just like the old starfucker.
Well, I feel bad for whoever did the makeup because he's in a lot of makeup in this too. But his performance makes his performance in like, Freddy's Dead look like
like classical acting.
And at the end of the day,
like Klaus Kinski.
If you haven't seen The Mangler, definitely check it out, because it is then you just be in on the joke forever, and it's the gift that keeps on giving.
And there's also just an abysmal twist ending.
What is the twist? Oh, wait, should we spoil it?
Well, we're spoiling everything else, right? It turns out like the spirit of the evil transfers into this young woman who's kind of been like the put upon version
niece
throughout the whole
or the daughter or something.
the put upon character the whole film, and so it ends with her turning around and trying to do her best Robert England as the foreman accent. And kind of like she's got a patch, I think, or she's crippled now. And
it would be funny if she turned into a mangler.
she turns into the float.
It's like a Nightmare on Elm Street 4 with like the cockroach, where like her arm just comes off and it like becomes like a president.
I'll do a dance for you. Huh?
I can say I'm a classically trained actor because I did Shakespeare in college.
Exactly. Like every actor in the city we know.
Yeah. I guess my problem with the Mangler overall is just that, for one, it's not that compelling of a story if you really think about it.
It's not our favorite.
I mean, it's a joke of a story. Like it's like, I look at the Mangler in a sense of he might have just been looking around the room and been like, what else could I make evil? And he's like, Tabby was just like, Steven, did you take the laundry to the thing? And he's like, and he like left his room. And he has those set hours where he has to write, right? Mm-hmm. And so he probably like had like he was in that mindset of writing, like got called into doing a chore, went to go like get the laundry done, and saw this like machine.
Yeah.
When he was waiting for the ticket, it's probably sitting there like, I should be writing right now. Sees this machine and then decides to write this ludicrous, batshit crazy story that has now spawned, like, I think there's like 3 films now, right?
There's the Mangler 2 and the Mangler Reborn with Lance Henriksen is in one of those too.
Man.
Are they all?
He's in the second one, I think.
And we're not, listeners, we're not going so much into sequels, obviously, because we'd have to do 3 episodes about Children of the Corn. For that. But and also most of the sequels to his movies, like sometimes they come back again, all that stuff. They don't really go much into the original story. So I guess my question of the Mangler, is it at all tied to the original? Because sometimes they come back. One of those,
the same. I mean, it is. Yeah.
Like it's the same cop and
Blue
his
Ribbon.
friend is the Blue Ribbon,
or is it Blue
factory.
Ribbon? Is it?
I love that happens again.
I thought the sequel took place like a school. It was like
no,
cyber.
sorry. I thought you meant the Mangler movie. Is that a direct adaptation?
No. The sequels to the.
They
Mangler.
go off.
No, they're loosely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
And I don't even think it's about a laundry press anymore.
No, it's
I think
like about the internet.
Yeah.
It kind of goes.
It's very Lawnmower Man.
It's like the Lawnmower Man. It kind of goes the
man.
Hellraiser route of just let's slap Pinhead in for 3 seconds to make it the Hellraiser movie.
Well, because most of Hellraiser scripts aren't Hellraiser scripts; they're other
Half of
horror
them are,
movies.
yeah.
It's kind of like Die Hard.
Justin, are you talking
The
about
Cyber sequels.
You're talking about Inferno?
Mac loves Hellraiser Inferno, so make sure you go.
Is that the one with Fat Hellraiser?
That's with the
Yeah.
That's with the old Cowboy Cinnabites, and although I do like Torso and the Twins. Okay, that's another podcast.
So I think that sums up our thoughts on the Mangler. So let's jump forward to 2006. That was when there was a bunch of adaptations of various Stephen King stories called Nightmares and Dreamscapes from the stories of Stephen King, and in that we saw an adaptation of Battleground, which was pretty low on our list of stories in Night Shift, though we still kind of liked it, but it was pretty low on our list. So.
I love the story.
Mike
I had
and
it very
I,
high.
I didn't
Mac
really
is the
like
limit.
it. I had it pretty low on the totem pole, but I will say I really enjoyed the Nightmares and Dreamscapes version. Not only did they tackle this in a way that was interesting, it's a story that's more interesting to see than to read, I think.
Yeah.
But they tried to do this thing with it where it's literally like a silent film. William Hurt's in it, and he's great. But he doesn't speak at all. There's no speaking in it, and we were kind of blown away by that.
Didn't Brian Henson direct it?
Yes.
Yeah. Jim Henson's son directed it, and you think once again, like how can this be? How is it going to be good? I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good. I actually liked it a lot.
I was really impressed with literally. I mean, this isn't like for the Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a famous episode called Hush, where most of the episode is spent in complete silence. Everybody's lost their voice and there's no more sound. But there is still dialogue in the beginning and end of that episode. This is from the moment it starts to the moment it ends, dialogue free, and there's ways to get around that. He's got headphones in a lot of the time.
Nice.
And he's also just like your ultimate silent assassin who is literally silent. And he's in the apartment by himself. So this is not a case of that we ran into with Mick Garris' The Shining, where Jack's talking to himself about how horrible everything is. You know, it's just him trying to figure out a way to destroy these little army men.
I mean,
It's
let's be fair. William Hurt's had like 10 lines his entire career. Like
History of Violence.
never talks.
History of Violence. He got nominated, but he has what, like 20
like 2 lines,
in
I think, or something like that.
I love him in Dark City though.
I love
Oh, I
him.
forgot about he's in
Big
Uncharted.
Chill. He's great in Big Chill.
Well,
I love
I
the
think
Big
it's-
Show.
I just think it's really smart that they waited. It's like I'm glad that they waited until digital effects could really make, because I feel like with Battleground you need like technological innovation to make this work.
Yeah, and that's what was really cool about it. Was a lot of it was perspective shots where they had people dressed up as army men, like not necessarily CG, like doing all these things, and then it made it seem like they were small, but they did it in a way that I thought was really good. Oh, also the Trilogy of Terror doll makes an appearance,
It's really fun.
which is really fun. And,
Which is funny because that's what rereading the short story, it reminded me of the short story that is based on, the Trilogy of Terror, the Richard Matheson
and
story.
sadly the Trilogy of Terror doll gets it.
That Trilogy of Terror doll is so scary. Holy hell!
But it's very interesting. I think they told Hurt that there wouldn't be any commercials. It was just going to be literally like a straight hour of the thing, and I like to think that he was like, I'm not doing this unless there's no commercial.
Yeah,
like
he's
that,
I don't want
that
any
was the
corporate-
selling point for him for some reason, I guess.
I don't want these corporate like hogs all over my acting. or
Well,
whatever,
it's funny because
you know?
I think this is the only non-Nightmares and Dreamscapes story that was in that limited series on TNT at the time.
Because they did Umi's Last Case. They did I forget what the other ones. I actually I haven't seen this, which is weird because I'm a huge Brian Henson fan. He directed Muppet Christmas Carol, which is one of the best Muppet movies. I
Your
love
favorite
it.
movie of what year?
92, I think. Yeah, I love. We all of us idiot nerds over here. We all starting with Justin Gerber, picked our favorite movie from every year we were born.
Oh, I can't take credit for that. That was going on the internet for a while. I think that Mike did one, and then we went from there.
Well,
Well,
he
my-
took it back to 1920.
I did. I will say that.
Yeah, jeez. You should post that screenshot.
You know, I will. If you guys are interested, I will post my favorite films from every year that movies have been being made.
Something I did appreciate about the this adaptation was that they actually show the hit of the toy maker. Like I feel like the story just starts
cool.
like it's over. You know that happened.
Yeah.
But you actually see him go in, kill him, and all that stuff.
bad
And
boy
you
toy
see
man.
some of the toys like in the shop that don't necessarily make an appearance later, but like you just see them kind of like looking at him
Kinda
while this
puppet
happens,
master.
and yeah, it's very kind of interesting.
And it's as violent as you can get on TNT in 2001 too. Like you can like feel like the little nicks from the helicopter hitting him, and the effects like you said, Mac, they're really good. Like the helicopter flying around was a lot of fun to watch happen.
Well-
they really ramp it up. Like the suspense is even there. Like you think it's all over, and then there's that sequence in the water,
Yeah.
and there's a sequence on the ledge, which is kind of
an
homage to the ledge from Night Shift as well.
Do you guys think that? So you're saying it's a mixture of practical effects and perspective effects and CGI. I mean, and that has to be because Brian Henson is so good with that. I mean, even Muppet Christmas Carol actually has some CGI in it, and he's always been really. I'm not against CGI at all, but I think you need to use it in a way where it's blending in with reality. And I think he's always been good at that.
Yeah, and I don't think that they would have done this one or chose this one to do that without his help because he does it so
He's
seamlessly.
a wizard with that stuff.
Yeah, it was really strange thinking about it because for some reason I did not watch any of these when it was on. I know this is kind of before DVR. Maybe I was working at night.
I
or
didn't
at
even
class.
hear about it till recently.
Because again, I missed all of them. I think there were 8 in total. So I'm really looking forward to 25 years from now when we get to Nightmares and Dreamscapes, being able to dive in and find these episodes.
But the cool thing is that you can find some of these episodes on YouTube. Like I think that's how we
watched it.
Battleground. So Battleground on YouTube, really good.
Very cool. I'll need to check that out. I missed this one.
Yeah, me too.
But you know what I didn't miss? A little movie called Maximum Overdrive. Because we're in trucks territory now, baby. So this is probably the most notorious film on this list. If we're using notorious in its proper usage, this is a very over the top kind of film.
That's a great way to put it. But you can go ahead, Mike.
Well, it's funny that you say over the top because in over the top he drives the truck.
It's a great
it's a great little
wonder
pun.
if there's a connection there.
There could be a connection that the truck became self-aware and became friends with Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone did
So
play
arm
one of the
wrestling?
trucks in Maximum
Oh, he
Overdrive.
does. There's
Yeah.
a scene where he's like walking around the gas thing or whatever. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you." This is a joke of a movie.
I just have one. Let's go around.
Just a
Let's go
joke.
around here. We've all seen it. Some of us have seen it recently, and some of us haven't seen it in a while. Dan, I know you still defend it, but you haven't seen it in how long?
Yeah.
Oh, I watched it the other day.
Oh my God!
God.
All right, well, hold on. Let me ask you.
This
question.
changes everything.
Let me ask you this question. We're having a lot of fun here. How high was Stephen King on a scale from like 1 to 10 when he made this?
Oh, very. He said it was.
It's a 10.
He said it was at the height of his coke addiction. So it's the height of his coke addiction. He's working with an Italian crew from Dino De Laurentiis that literally doesn't speak English, and he had a translator who also didn't speak great English. And also, there's a bunch of lore about his deal with Dino De Laurentiis. Just like he would just like scoop up the rights to Stephen King films, and I gotta give Stephen King credit for loyalty because he kept trusting him with these, and they were like so many turds.
I love Dino. I love Dino.
Yeah.
He's responsible for some of my favorite movies of all time. I can't fault him on that. But I do love the image of Dino calling up Steven. It's like come on up for some whiskey, and like they're having or like some bourbon or something. And they're like, what's your next story?
Steven's like, you bought another one, did you? Like really sad.
So we all again with Night Shift. Really, all the stories have got their value to them.
Oh yeah.
And I really like Trucks. I thought Trucks is
pretty high
pretty good short story.
Yeah.
I'm with Trump. I love Trucks.
Hey, I got the sticker and everything to prove it.
One thing.
But this takes it starts off explaining what has happened. So there we go. The mystery of why the trucks are running around is gone. You've got AC/DC on repeat. You've got like this takeoff on the Bernard Herrmann Psycho score with guitars instead of strings.
I love it.
How about it?
You love it.
Oh no, Dan.
And also,
it's
here's
awful.
Dan. Before you start defending this piece of garbage,
Garbage.
it's I don't know how they did it. You thought like the Mangler, for instance, it was pretty boring, but it was entertaining and how dumb and awful it was. This is just boring.
Yeah,
it's just a boring movie where nothing happens. I'd say the first 10 minutes are really good. The first 10 minutes are really, when everything starts to go to hell. I think Shyamalan tried to capitalize that on the happening. But it goes downhill once they get to that diner.
Yeah,
really cool.
Well, because you also have the most annoying characters in the world.
Oh, God.
Like I love The Simpsons, and Lisa Simpson's actually my favorite character on The Simpsons.
Yeardley Smith.
Yeardley Smith in this movie is just the most annoying character that has ever graced the screen, and I probably said that multiple times in other podcasts. But I'm a hyperbolic person. Hyperbolic person over here. There are multiple problems with the film. One of them is AC/DC. I love AC/DC. I thought they were great at Wrigley Field. I got to see them when Brian Johnson was still with the band and it wasn't Axl Rose. I cannot handle like an hour and 45-minute movie with AC/DC playing every goddamn scene. And it like ruins the movie. Like you just, there's no fear in that whatsoever because you're constantly listening to like Angus Grimm just going off
Angus
on
Young?
Angus Young. Angus Grimm. He's like...
Angus Grimm from
the tall man.
Phantasm.
Yeah, the tall man's with a 6 string. Man, I'm just like off names today. But yeah, I just... that's a great image. Just, Angus Grimm in like
guitar.
in like the Australian like
schoolboy
like
outfit.
boxers just like like this. No, but Angus Young, just listening to him riffing and going nuts for like an hour and 45 minutes, I started getting a headache when we were actually watching it. And
Well, because it diffuses any tension, or
Yeah.
like there'll be a scene where it could potentially be really scary, but then there's that music again, that
Bang, bang.
on the guitar, and it's just like, are you kidding me? I mean, it's like, are we watching Last Action Hero here?
Yeah.
Or are we like?
And again, I'm not asking for this to be, our new Vertigo or anything like that, but I just want it to be a fun, dumb movie. Like, for example, something we all saw recently and enjoyed, Kong Skull Island. It's a goofy monster movie. I was hoping for this to be a goofy monster truck movie.
Yeah, and it wasn't.
But it wasn't.
But also, like, I think the best thing about this short story is that it felt very like isolated and quiet and just scary.
Like a Carpenter
just
movie.
Subtle.
Yeah.
In this, every single appliance is going crazy. You got people being electrocuted by pinball machines. It's just so over the top, and
Yet there are certain shots of cars that just never come to life in this movie.
Yeah,
right.
there
And so
are.
it's like, well, why not that car?
What a
and
lazy-
the explanation that there's they're in the wake
comet.
of the stream of a comet, so that they're just trying to have to wait this out. So the comet's not always going to be there. So why don't they just wait it out and then?
Well, they don't
they'll be
know it.
done?
They
Only
don't
the
know that.
audience knows it, I guess. Which is even why
Yeah,
even
but
tell
how
us?
long
Yeah,
are they
we
going
don't
to be
need
in
to
the wake
know.
of this comet? But the thing that's good about the short story is that they don't explain it. There is necessarily no end to it, so it's just kind of like haunting when they look up at that airplane. They're like, I hope there's people in that.
Well, there's an airplane scene in this too, but they diffuse the tension by playing "Ride of the Valkyries."
Yeah.
Do we remember the trailer for this film?
Oh yes.
I referenced it a few minutes ago. That I'm going to scare the hell out of you.
Yes, but he also says if you're going to do something, if you want to do it right, do it yourself. Because he's like, it's hysterical.
Because he wrote, directed. I probably was probably someone.
He's a producer.
I know
Yeah.
the producer. So.
We should definitely play that clip too.
Yeah.
Of audio.
All right, let's ease up a little bit on the trucks hate guys or the maximum overdrive take because Randall, but how do you feel about it? Because I think let's get the negative out of the way.
Well, no, I mean, I've only watched half of it because I found it so tremendously boring when I looked at the movie. I agree with Stephen King, who has called it a moron movie. He says it's his worst adaptation, and I just love this IMDb trivia bit here. Yeardley Smith is greatly embarrassed by this film.
Really?
I know.
And she was in Herman's head.
I know who also is embarrassed. I mean, I know, like you just said, King had declared that too. He also admits it to his fans. Like our friend Bill Hansen, who we just mentioned before. When Bill and I actually had a chance to actually meet him when he was at FSU, which we had discussed in the last episode. Bill, I brought my edition of Pet Sematary.
I brought Skeleton Crew.
You brought Skeleton, and Bill brought Maximum Overdrive, the DVD. And when Bill handed it to King to sign, he goes, you're a glutton for punishment."
Yeah,
I thought that was great.
And I was living with Bill that time. Bill framed it.
Yeah.
I remember, so in our hallway we had this framed. I think he even took the DVD out. Like
He
it was
did.
a platinum record.
Yeah.
Below it.
He did.
So
It was so good.
All right,
Let's bring it on.
All right, let's get something straight. I'm not saying it's a great movie.
Okay.
I agree. I do agree with your guys' criticism that it definitely loses steam once they get to the diner. But that's still that's about a half hour into the movie. I think the first 30 minutes is. I love how over the top it is. It's a completely different function than the short story, of course, but that baseball scene where like the coach is getting the soda cans and like it kills him, right?
Kills him,
soda,
shoots it right.
and then a fucking bulldozer comes through and plows down a bunch of kids in the bridge
sounds of
scene.
AC/DC. Yeah.
But I don't know, and I actually don't like AC/DC that much as a band, but Stephen King said it's a moron movie. Absolutely, I agree with that. AC/DC is more on music in the same way. It's just this. It's repetitive. It's one note. It's driving, and I think with all that in mind, like the caveman part of my brain just really likes this movie. And once again, when I'm thinking about all the memorable scenes, most of them are from that first 30 minutes. But I do think the film does capture this like exhaustion. Like it looks so hot in the movie.
It does.
Like when they're
agree.
there, and when Emilio Estevez is that gas pumping montage. Actually, it does sort of give me fatigue in a way that I like.
Well, Emilio is like. He was clearly like high as well during this whole movie.
You think so?
He was either
stoned as hell.
Wait, was he had drug problems?
I don't know. I'll just say
Charlie
this.
does,
He
but-
looked like he was very tired.
Yeah.
His eyes were very bloodshot.
But that's before anything even happens.
But I kind of like how it goes from just batshit craziness to fatigue, and then with the end back to batshit craziness a little bit. I love that the head truck has that Green Goblin head on the front.
That's pretty iconic.
There are just some cool touches to it. Like I said, not a great movie, but. And I don't know, maybe it's just because I remember I watched this and Stand By Me back to back when I was a kid.
Oh,
which is, like,
man.
really weird. And I don't know, my dad's always had a soft
Bookends.
spot for this movie too, and maybe it's that, but I like how they have this dumb happy ending with them on the boat, and like they have the like the I don't know.
And then they have like the little summary at the end also.
Like
right?
like the comet ended and everything's okay. And and I agree. You don't need to know why, because here's the problem: because they say that comet thing, then it does make you think like, well, wait, why is this machine getting it and this one isn't? Whereas if they didn't mention it, you wouldn't be thinking, all that. So. Is it a good look? I'd probably give like a 5 or 6 out of 10. I'm not saying it's I'm not saying it's like an amazing movie. Probably I'll go 6. Let's say 6. But it's still a lot of fun to me, and I love the mixture of just shock value and fatigue. And I mean, it opens with Stephen King getting called an asshole by an ATM. What do you want?
No, I mean I agree with Leonard Maltin, but after he explained this great review over here. I think somewhere in here there is a better movie that you can shorten it down. This actually is one of my earliest experiences with the King film too, because of Joe Bob Briggs, who used to do it on Monster Vision. And I remember as a kid being frightened by a lot of this stuff. Like the idea, there's like a scene with the kid where he's riding his bike through the neighborhood, and you see like all the dead bodies everywhere.
That's creepy.
And that's like there's like legitimate like scary.
There's one with
moments
the
in that.
dog where a dog has like a remote control car in its mouth.
Yeah.
And it's dead. That really.
That's
creeps
like
me out.
yeah, totally. Like that stuff's good. It's just if you condensed it down to like an hour and 20 minutes with all the good stuff and got rid of a lot of other things and
A lot
this
of extra
weird
characters.
romance that doesn't really do anything.
Speaking
like,
of the romance, there's a little pound cake in the film.
oh, there is a lot
yeah?
of pound cake.
But it's funny. The thing that stuck out to me was obviously amidst all the chaos in this small diner, Emilio Estevez and this young woman have sex, and then they eat donuts afterwards. That always like stuck out to me.
Do we
That
need
might
to
have been
change
the
pound
closest-
cake to donuts? Yeah.
well, we got some donuts over here.
We actually,
Oh, boy.
Mike very kindly brought us a bunch of donuts this morning, and I ate 2 of them.
I think he was like in the back of his head. He was like, maximum overdrive.
So here's
Yeah.
some. This is actually a tragedy that occurred on set. It was not the smoothest production.
No,
they
no,
would
no,
have
no.
you believe. And so an accident occurred as they were shooting. A radio-controlled lawnmower used in a scene went out of control and struck a block of wood that was being used as a camera support, and it shot out a bunch of wood splinters,
God.
which injured the director of photography, Armando Nanuzzi, and he lost his right eye.
Whoa.
Oh my god!
A real case of Maximum Overdrive and a real case of the Lawnmower Man, too,
Yeah.
a little bit, man.
I know,
Um,
and yeah, like I was reading. There's a great oral history that's so long on this movie, and
Oh, really?
I read a good chunk of it. And but the creepiest thing, a lot of it we've actually touched on,
Yeah.
like a lot of the stuff about Dino De Laurentiis and like how the movie came to be and various things like that, and then just King being coked out and like it being mass chaos on set.
I love it.
But the creepiest thing about it, and I guess it's not that creepy, but this is super. I mean, because it's his wife or whatever. But I love how I proceeded with that. But this is a little bit of pound cake.
Oh,
Just
I know
Uncle Stevie.
exactly what you're
Yeah?
gonna say. The line in the movie.
No, this is not.
Oh, this
the
is
movie.
some behind the scenes stuff.
Behind the
yeah.
scenes.
I don't know about
Although
this.
we'll want that line too in a moment.
Buckle
But to help remember Tabby while he was away, he had some of her panties with him that he had
Wait.
brought to set. Yeah.
Wait, who is he? Has he
Steven,
confirmed
you-
this?
you dirty
It was in
dog.
the oral history. I don't know if he's confirmed it.
No, look, that doesn't surprise me. And also, hey, look, we
That's
read.
kind of sweet.
If we,
I know, I'm saying
and look,
it's his
we've,
wife.
You're
It's a
married.
sweet
You're married
trait.
a long time, and we've read. Justin and I read Lacey's story, and he goes
I've read
into
Lacey's
he goes into some weird old people sex and that I wonder if him and Tabby have done in your life. And hey, what you're married 60 years, however long they've been, not 60,
60 years.
40 years,
60, yeah.
40 years probably. Whatever,
They got
and that's
married
fine.
at 6.
I think it's more disturbing that everyone knew about it somehow.
Yeah.
like he's like,
I think he was very open about it.
yeah.
I could just see him all coked out, and he's like, "All right, we did 7 takes. I'm going back. I got to get the panties.
I get.
I gotta get the panties."
It's like- it's
it's
like
all right, Steven.
Just sitting there on set in between scenes, it's just
Oh yeah, like he's Frank from Blue Velvet. It's like,
yeah.
Man. Oh, that's man.
Steven wants to shoot.
I get. Wait, where is this oral history? I gotta read this.
It's on Slash Film
Okay,
because they
that's-
did this movie on How Did This Get Made, and for a while they were doing oral histories of all the movies that were on that.
Wow,
so it's
man.
really
I
exhaustive.
gotta read that. Yeah.
Yeah, we've touched on a lot of the stuff that's in there. A lot of it, it's really heavy on just kind of the backstage production
Yeah.
work, which is interesting, but not necessarily something we need to discuss on the podcast.
I thought you were gonna say, and it's in the same vein as the panties thing. There's when we first meet Yeardley Smith, and who's
yeah.
who's the male actor with him? Hasn't he gone on to do stuff?
I don't think so.
Yeah, anyway, they're driving and they're newlyweds, so it's like, oh, they're all frisky, whatever. And she's like, oh, pull over, I gotta pee, and he goes, ooh, can I watch?
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be this like cute thing. It's just kind of
It's not cute.
kind of gross. Yeah, it's just there's like, but I don't know. I like the gross. Then again, though, if you're being directed by the guy who has his wife's panties in his purse,
I
so-
love schlock horror. I love it.
Yeah.
I grew up on it, slasher films and everything. But God, this movie just is not capital. It's a whiff. It's
There
a swing
is-
and a miss.
Good
There is
YouTube movie.
one part that I was like laughing at rewatching. It's actually in a good scene. It's the scene where the kid is riding around looking at this stuff.
Again,
Now-
like in the first 25 minutes.
And I don't think that kid is a necessarily bad actor throughout the rest of the movie, but in that scene, he's looking at everything that all the dead people and stuff, and every single time it just goes on a while. He like looks at it, bows his head, he's like shakes his head, and like they do it so many times. And I think that kid, he went on to be a producer, but I think he also got into some legal trouble later. No, that's wrong. the kid who played Mark Petrie from Salem's Lot
Yeah,
went
he
on
got
to
him.
get like insurance fraud or something like that. Yeah. Sorry, apologies to the kid at Maximum Overdrive. He's fine. I think he's like doing all right.
No, there's
He's
a
still
lot,
playing baseball.
There's
Yeah.
actually a lot of great character
Yeah,
actors.
Pat Hingle's in
yeah,
there,
Pat Hingle,
and
but
he's
like
great.
deep in the cast, you've got Leon Rippey of Deadwood, who-
11/22/63.
who was also in
Oh,
11/22/63.
yeah.
Who's he playing
in 11/22?
or no, in Maximum Overdrive.
Brad.
Oh.
Just a patron.
Jesus.
Look at the
Yeah,
big
patron.
brain on Brad.
Yeah.
It's Brett from Pulp Fiction. It was a flawed reference.
No, I
there.
like that reference.
But Robert Gooden, he plays Barry, but he's a guy who I can't tell you what he's been in, but I'm looking at his photo right now, and I've seen him in a million things.
Yeah.
And then Giancarlo Esposito,
Oh, yeah.
Gus Fring from Breaking Bad.
Death by Pinball Machine, I
Yes.
believe it is.
Yeah.
No, Death
Wait,
by
that's
Arcade.
him?
Yeah.
Coming back this
Wow.
season on Better Call Saul.
Frankie Faison of The Wire.
Yeah.
Love Frankie
And a
Faison.
million other things.
Sounds
And
amazing.
Silence of the Lambs, which also was Dino De Laurentiis.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, what is he doing?
And Manhunter. He's
And
also
Manhunter.
in Manhunter.
Yeah.
Different character.
Which, and then we've got there's a player deep in the thing. Second woman. Guess who she's played by? She is the second woman in more ways than one because she was Donald Trump's second wife.
Marla Maples.
Wait,
Ooh.
who is she? I mean, I just watched this movie. I didn't recognize like any of these
Second
people.
woman.
Second woman.
We also have Steven himself at the ATM.
I love that. And Tabby.
Is Tabby right there also?
You can't see her face. She's wait.
Maybe
she,
that was when she
I
dropped.
think her panties are in it.
Wait, oh my god. I'd like to posit something. Let's think about this. So Marla Maples is in Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah.
And Trump recently was wearing a button that said "I love trucks." Do you think he still is carrying a torch for his second
well,
wife?
there was that story in Us Weekly about how Melania Trump and him apparently sleep in separate bedrooms.
They do.
She hates him and all that stuff, and so maybe he's pining for Marla.
Well, I don't think I'm stretching too much when I say it was probably Marla Maples' involvement in this movie that got him interested in trucks.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
To the point where he now loves them.
So it's been like 30 years strong with him loving trucks.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's like a really cool promotional photo of him like stopping by and like the set and be like, "Oh, I'm just here to see what Marla's doing," and they're like, "Hey, Donald, why don't you get behind one of those trucks for us?"
The Green
Wait.
Goblin truck.
Yeah, the Green
Wait a
Goblin.
second.
He's like,
Wait.
King tweets all the time about Trump.
Oh.
I want and Marla Maples is famous at that point, right?
She's
so
just
he,
yeah.
he directed
she was
her.
really only famous for Donald Trump cheating on his wife with her and then them getting married.
Was this pre that or
This is pre that.
so? I'm just wondering. I mean, I don't know. Does Stephen King have personal contact with Marla Maples, and can he get dirt on Trump?
This is like a
If-
Russia
if-
situation.
If he was at the height of his coke addiction, I don't think he remembers any of that.
No.
You know what I mean?
We-
Like, unfortunately.
All right, listeners. If I don't, Stephen King, I don't know if he knows who we
tweet.
are yet, but maybe some of you out there have tweeted at him and he tweets back. I think we need to get a little conspiracy theory of our own going.
you got to tweet Marla Maples to him.
Maybe we can. He may not remember Marla Maples as his movie. Maybe we can take down Trump.
I mean, I've heard of all.
through Maximum Overdrive.
First there was all the president's men. Now we've got all the king's men.
On that note, I think it's time to talk about the probably the most popular King adaptation of all time, and that is the 1997 TV movie Trucks.
Indisputable, yes.
Yes, and so
Which only you have seen.
Only
out of
I
all
have
us.
seen of this crew because I remember seeing it when it was on TV. I remember actually being excited about it at the time because I was like, I remember when I was a kid, I tried to watch a little bit of Maximum Overdrive, and it was so unlike the book and so like deeply violent at the beginning that I it just disturbed me too much. So I was like, this is gonna be like a Shining situation where it's like like they're redoing it and making it more like the book.
And I know as a 5-year-old, Randall, you were a huge fan of 30-something. With Timothy Busfield.
I'm a huge Timothy Busfield fan, not just for 30-something, but also for his work in Revenge of the Nerds and First Kid.
First Kid,
where he
yeah.
plays the villain.
Oh,
Spoiler
yeah.
alert.
Which you know in like the first 5 minutes.
Yes, but
Isn't he in Rookie of the Year, too?
Little Big League.
yeah.
Little Big
a Little Big League,
Little
which
Big League. Same
I'd
movie.
say is superior to
is superior.
Rookie of the Year.
More believable.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Yeah, but basically, Trucks is such a non-entity that I was looking at this IO9 list of Stephen King adaptations where they rank them all, and they didn't even rank Trucks. They just mentioned it in the piece on Maximum Overdrive. But the funny thing is, Trucks is actually streaming on Amazon Prime right now.
Really?
So that's like the main reason I revisited it recently, and it's bad. Like,
Does it stick close to the book or not?
no, not really. I mean, the thing is, it's almost impossible. It's like, I mean, to make a feature-length thing out of the out of the story, it's not going to happen. It's like Graveyard Shift. It's like there's not enough there, and so, but I'd say it's closer in some ways, but they do what Maximum Overdrive does in a way where they kind of offer this cosmic sort of reason for why they've come alive, and it's so bizarre. There's like this like Hawaiian shirt wearing like mystic character.
What?
It's very bizarre. He's like a schlub, but he's also like hippie. And like, but he's also like into aliens, and that's like how they sort of describe what's going on.
So he is to this what like Brad Dourif's Exterminator is to Graveyard Shift, like
Yes.
this weird addition to the.
It's very bizarre, and like, yeah, they really round out the cast, and like that's and I think what I liked about it was when I was a kid. The thing was, I actually didn't like it, but what I liked about it as I started watching it. I was like, oh, I like this because it's got this big ensemble cast, like, and it felt like the story in that regard, where and it was, it's like Maximum Overdrive in the sense that they're in this diner, but it actually gets out and gets more like in the community, I guess, and you see more of it. But the thing is, it's so repetitive. It's like it's the TV Guide had a review that I read. It's the movie is impossible to find stuff about online. Like there is nothing about it. But I found this just on Wikipedia. I found this TV Guide review of Trucks, and basically it said it was all premise. Wait, hold on. Let me bring it up here. Trucks. Here we go. Sorry, my Wikipedia on my phone, not very reliable. TV Guide rated it 2 out of 4 stars and wrote, "The film is all premise and no plot, a problem made worse by the clumsy addition of extraneous gory sequences." But here's the thing. Upon that rewatch, those extraneous gory sequences were the best part of the movie.
Yeah,
I figured.
It's like the main story is really dull. I think the big addition to it is there's 2 like teenagers that they put in it, and there's kind of like a mild love story there. And
Oh, that's cool. That sounds kind of sweet.
But no, it was just like it was really lame. And then but it does just randomly cut away to like just some random dude getting killed like by a truck or something. But the best one, and I was actually like laughing and enjoying it as I was watching it, and like my wife walked in and she goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" Because it was literally a scene where a guy was getting an adult man was getting killed by a remote control car. But it was kind of hilarious because I think it was like a mailman or something, but he's like, it like keeps hitting his like shins, and at first it's kind of funny, and he's like, "Hey, what's this thing doing?" But then it like knocks him over, and it starts like slamming his head against the curb, and like blood is squirting everywhere. It's so stupid that I was like loving it. I was like laughing my ass off.
Was this originally on USA?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I think
so.
it sounds right,
And so it was as much gore as they could get away with at that point. But I remember like I was delighted during that scene.
Does Busfield survive?
Busfield, of course, he survives because he is a leading man. But
Well,
the thing
he
is,
went on to do West Wing.
yes.
Oh, is he in West Wing?
Oh yeah, Danny.
Oh,
See, I'm a huge Tim Busfield fan, and he is such a better actor than everyone else in this movie. Like, it's comical in a sense. It's like he has no business being in this movie because, like, the level of talent that he's at and the way that he can elevate this material just by, like, how naturalistic he is as an actor, and everyone else is so bad. It's like, I mean, and the story is, there's not much to it. It's just like they all gather, a bunch of them get killed in very PG-13 ways. It only gets gory in the extraneous gory sequences, and it's like, but all this stuff in the main story is very like PG-13 and very lame.
Is there post-coital donut eating in this?
No, which is a huge detriment to the movie. But spoiler alert for the ending. You ask if Tim Busfield lives. Ostensibly, yes, but they have a little bit of a ambiguous ending. Actually, it's not very ambiguous. Basically, these helicopters come like to save them, and it's Busfield and his son, and then they run into the helicopter, and then the teenage girl is already in there because she like was with the crew that went to go get them, and it takes off, and then she's like really quiet, and she's just like not saying anything, and they're like, "What's wrong? We're safe, and then like they turn, and then they pull back the curtain, and then nobody's flying the helicopter.
That's kind of cool. I like
Yeah,
that.
and then that's how it
fun.
ends. Like it ends with the helicopter just flying off, and that's
So
the end.
in the movie,
They're
then
totally dead.
yes, so they're dead.
So in the movie, then, is it implied in the movie that at least for most of it, they think that it's only automobiles that are affected by this
Yeah,
thing? Okay,
there's no
gotcha.
aircraft
cool.
until the very end, and
That's
then it's
kinda
like,
cool.
and I think that works. And so I think in that sense, It's not like a typical King miniseries. It aired on TV, but it wasn't like a 3-hour event. Thank Christ, because the thing's like 90 minutes and it's too long already. And
so would you say everything from the short story makes its way into the adaptation, but they obviously had to pad it out?
No, I feel like they don't. I could be wrong. I watched it a bit ago, and honestly, like, it was a hard thing to pay hardcore attention to. But I don't remember the. I don't think there's a big gassing sequence, and if there is, like, I don't remember it. But
Do you rank it above Maximum Overdrive?
No, because I'd say, like, with Maximum Overdrive, though, I think really it's just about the first 30 minutes of that movie.
But there's a boldness to Maximum Overdrive just in that first 30 minutes.
And that's the thing. Whereas Trucks is a really safe movie. It's like it's like a total toss away. Everyone who was involved with it, aside from Busfield, like, none of them went on to do anything else of note. It's very, very forgettable.
I mean, it sounds normally like, one drives the bus, but it feels like in this, the bus drives the movie.
I'd say it's an accurate assessment. Any other questions about the 1997 TV movie Trucks?
I don't have any questions per se about the film. I do think that there's a way to make this movie, and I think it's just doing a Faces of Death style thing where you just, like, like when Jen walked in and saw you seeing this guy getting rammed, just have like multiple, just no narrative.
It's like vignettes
just
of people
vignettes of getting killed by these things, and then it just ends.
Just make like a YouTube
directed by
clip,
Stephen
really,
King or something.
You could just take the best part, like all those death scenes in Trucks and all the ones in Maximum Overdrive, like a good 20-30 minute movie.
Somebody, constant listeners, now you got a challenge. Do it.
Yeah, super cut.
Go on Amazon Prime, download the film.
Yeah.
It's just like, you can't, I don't know, like, maybe prove me wrong here, but it's like, can you make a movie where, like, a truck is a villain and it's compelling?
You'd have to really amp up, like, the comedy, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the truck.
Oh, Duel,
It's not as
though.
much the truck.
Yeah, I guess
Duel,
you're right.
yeah.
Duel, I feel like, does that really well.
And Joyride. I like the movie Joyride.
Yeah.
Well,
Joyride's great,
but that's
especially
like,
A trucker.
There's someone.
There's
I
a
like
person
Black
driving
Dog.
it.
Black Dog.
So
And like, there's a
you're-
person. I actually like Joyride a lot. I think
I
there's
do
like a
too.
real personality to that movie and to that villain. You know, like, it's just the idea of, it's like, it's. I'd say, and like, that's the thing is, Maximum Overdrive, for as bad as it is, like, you got the Green Goblin and all that. It's like, it gives it a personality. Like, the trucks seem to have personalities, and that's what they don't have in the
I
TV
think
movie.
I think with any of these kind of too short to adapt into film stories, I think there can be a good movie, but you have to have a screenwriter and a director who is just like aces at character development. I mean, you have to make these people interesting enough to make there has to be something more than just the truck elements of it, because it's just too long to.
And
just
it's like
rely
they
on
really
that.
try to flesh out the characters in the TV movie. Like, they give them a lot of, like, backstory.
Yeah.
It's just none of it is very
Just doesn't
compelling,
work.
and the actors aren't very good except for Busfield. And Busfield, as good as he is, like, you look at Little Big League, and he had what was that kid's name who was in that?
I can't remember his name. But
It's Luke.
he
something.
holds a
Luke
hat
Haas?
like this
No,
in that
no.
poster.
Yeah, but anyways, that kid in Busfield, that was box office magic.
Is he in Little Big League? I think he's in Rookie of the Year.
What?
Oh
No.
Oh, no.
The kid from American Pie, Thomas Ian Nichols,
That's
is
in Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, but
of the Year.
isn't Timothy Busfield?
No,
the
Timothy
father, like-
Busfield's in Little Big League.
because
No.
He's a player for the Twins.
The father
Gary Busey is the
character.
player that
Yeah.
romances the mom in
Yes.
Rookie of the Year.
Yes.
and then the father is
okay.
the guy from. He's like oh god damn it! I always forget it. The actor's name. I feel like he was in, maybe Mr. Robot. Like
Oh, you're talking about. So we're going back and forth. Yeah, the guy who's romancing the mother.
no, the
trying to
original
romance-
father is
He's
he
not
was
the
a jerk.
father. He's like the boyfriend of the mother.
Holy
Oh, I thought he was a
shit!
jerk,
Jesus
though.
Christ!
He was a jerk,
Hold on. Let's all take a second. He's not Thomas E. Nicholas's father.
I thought he was.
No, he's the boyfriend of his mother. I'm positive.
No, but Gary Busey's the boyfriend of the mother.
No, he romances her, but she's seeing this jerk
Because she
who's
punches
Mr.
him
Robot.
at the end.
Yes.
But in Mr. Robot, he's like the other guy that like becomes like.
In
yeah.
both
Were you-
movies, a baseball player romances the kid's mom.
Yeah.
In one, it's Tim Busfield. In another, it's Gary Busey.
Why don't we save this for the Blockade Billy episode, guys?
Wait, how about
baseball?
Busey, Busfield,
That's kind of a weird connection
Yeah,
there.
2 B's.
and two buses?
What are the two different teams? Minnesota Twins and the Cubs.
Show Cubs, yeah.
Who would ever
The
want to own
Cubbies.
the Minnesota Twins though?
That's
it's a great
actually
team.
see that's kind of creepy too because we all live in Chicago.
I know.
Hey, you mentioned Ted Levine in The Mangler. He's the killer in Joyride.
Is he
Oh,
really?
is that
Oh,
him?
is that his voice?
I thought it was his voice,
Yeah.
but I couldn't tell if it was like that was too on the nose, Levine.
What does he say in Joyride, Justin?
I'm going to take you for a joyride.
he's like candy cane.
All right. So I think it's safe to say that there has yet to be a good adaptation of Trucks.
Yeah.
These are rough movies.
Hey, dollar baby.
Whereas I'd say that the next adaptation we're going to talk about is actually an improvement upon the story, and that would be Sometimes They Come Back.
You know, as a whole, we all kind of agreed that Sometimes They Come Back is the worst short story, or the least effective short story.
Yeah,
in
it's
Night
not
Shift.
bad. It's just
It's the least of the
effective.
20.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I will say, and I'll make this argument that this might be the best feature-length adaptation from Night Shift.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that, and I think I wasn't expecting it to be. I was, and because it's a movie that it's like Graveyard Shift in the sense that no one talks about it anymore. It's not a movie that people seem to remember fondly or revisit a lot. And and I guess when we're saying this, it's kind of like Dan defending Maximum Overdrive. It's not a great movie, and it really falls apart in the end. I think, kind of like the story does. But I think what's really effective is that. What freaks me out so much about the story is the idea of these people from the 50s who you vaguely recognize and you have a creeping suspicion of who they are, but it doesn't line up with reality. The fact that these people come and they contrast so sharply with everyone else, like in the class, like when the greasers show up, and there's something really uncanny and eerie about that, and the way that they continually keep showing up and sort of taunting the main character, and I guess if you haven't read the story, just to clarify, this is the story of a man who goes back to the town where he grew up to be a teacher. When he was a kid, his brother was killed by a group of bullies, greasers, bad dudes.
Bad
but
boys.
the bad boys. But the difference is that in the movie, didn't they all die at the same time?
That's the thing. I would
Yeah.
say this is an example of every change that is made from the short story works.
I would argue the ending, but we'll get there.
We'll get to the end. I
Yeah.
think. Well, we'll get to the ending too. Again, this is by no means, Shawshank Redemption or Stand By Me, but it's still like a good early '90s. This was a CBS movie,
Yeah. Yeah.
and Tom McLaughlin directed it.
Yeah.
Who is well known for best known for doing Jason Lives, Friday the 13th Part 6. There's
Yeah.
a little bit of the humor in that.
Yeah.
and that's found in this film as well. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna say in the book, these greasers, the bullies, they stab the brother,
Yeah.
and he dies. They actually end up dying just like by natural causes or a car accident, like later on, and then he slowly realizes that the only reason some of these bullies aren't returning is because they're probably still alive.
Yeah.
Whereas in the movie, they're in a tunnel where there's a train, and you realize that they inadvertently dropped the keys to the car, and he grabs them. The main character grabs them and runs, and so they're almost back to haunt him to kill because they feel like he's responsible for
Yes.
their
So
death.
it's more of a
'Cause they
revenge.
can't start the
Yeah.
car, and then they all get got by the train.
It makes more sense, and this is a case where like in Trucks and Graveyard Shift, there's not enough story to justify the feature length. One of our biggest critiques of the short story of Sometimes They Come Back, which runs 40 pages, is that it almost feels like it needs more,
Yeah.
like it needs more time to breathe, because it feels very rushed in a lot of ways, and ironically underdeveloped. And I'd say that, and I feel like they took out some of the cruelty, his wife isn't killed.
Yeah,
in the
well,
movie.
That's good.
His wife is played by the great Brooke Adams, who
Yes.
you know from Invasion of the Body Snatchers and this really, really bad early '80s Shockwaves horror movie with Peter Cushing.
Oh wait, we saw that, didn't
yeah, we saw that.
Yeah, not good.
So the major differences, though, I mean, again, they also add to kind of not to pad it out, but to make it a full length adaptation. They add the wrong man element to it.
Yeah.
Because as opposed to the story where Jim hears about the disappearing students or deceased students, in this he's always kind of seen with the students before they're about to die. Whether it's just talking to a student after school,
Yeah.
running to a student on the streets, or
Yeah.
just having a bad relationship. So they kind of add the whole. Maybe he's actually the one killing all these
Yeah.
kids, and the key here though is you've got an established actor in Tim Matheson,
Yeah, who's awesome.
who's really really good. Brooke Adams, who I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
and you've got our boy Grady from Freddy's Revenge as the lead hunk, as the main villain, and he does a really good job.
And you know who else is in it? The one, because there's one living greaser in the movie.
Yeah, William Sanderson.
And William Sanderson from Deadwood plays him, that dude is such a good, weird-ass actor that, like, he really fits into the Stephen King world really well as well. So, but I will say that, I guess talking about the ending, the big change here is that, you know, in both of them, they use sort of this satanic...
it's not
spell.
so pronounced in this. It's not like he's reading Raising Demons or
Yes,
whatever he's reading in the short story.
But he does like a seance. It's more of a seance.
It's more of like
in the
a
movie.
let's reenact what happened.
Yeah, and he like goes to the thing. But in the movie, in both of them, the brother comes back. Like the dead brother comes back and sort of vanquishes the bad guys. But the big difference is that in the movie, it gets very sentimental.
It does,
and it like allows him to have like a parting moment with his brother. And there's like a moment when. Like, he has to tell his brother, he's like, I'm actually your brother and I'm older now because the kid doesn't realize he's dead. And it's like, it's affecting in that regard, but it also, it just verges, it
teases
over
cheese.
into...
It does, like, schlock or cheesy.
It goes
tease
into
that.
schmaltz a little bit, yeah.
I think they do a really good job, though, establishing throughout the film the flashbacks, though. Which kind of builds to that.
I agree
and this
with
is kind of a Frank Darabont adaptation before there were Frank Darabont adaptations, because it is very... I don't want to say it's sentimental to be negative because
sentimental can be good.
It can be,
yeah.
and the story itself, like the short story, like I talked about in the last episode, we talked about how just grim it is, but not in a fun, grim horror way. But this, you're really rooting for the characters to live. You want him to see his brother again. You want to give his brother peace.
Yeah.
You like. And this, he also has a son who's terrorized by the bullies as well.
Yeah, which is a good added thing. And I guess you're right. You know, I said that I disagreed about changing the end. I find the ending of the story, as opposed to all you guys, like I actually found the ending of the story pretty affecting. Not the whole satanic ritual so much as the fact that when he sees his brother's face changes into a demon before he disappears.
And that's creepy. Obviously,
that's creepy, and that to me, kind of in a way. Hints towards Pet Sematari's themes of like the dead shouldn't come back, you know, and how terrifying it. Like if you're trying to bring back something, it's bad, you know. That is not a good thing. And I think that that's always been a theme that King has played with. That other authors. Like I think he's almost like lampooning certain authors who are just kind of like they're very much about like they're bringing back ghosts, bringing back people from the dead, bringing back and like everything can be the way it was, you know. And like that's why I feel like in the movie, even though I think it makes sense for the film adaptation for him to have that sentimental moment, it almost doesn't feel like King, you know.
No, I hear you. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, again,
so wait, what exactly happens then in the end? Like, what's the big change?
The big change is, his brother comes back, and his brother's still like a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
By the way, it's the son from the HBO show Dream On.
Oh my god, that is a deep.
How about that? So Brian Binden's son or whatever.
Well, Brian.
So he comes back and he takes part in the, you know, I forget exactly. They pretty much reenact what happened in the 50s.
Yeah.
And so this train comes back and once again destroys the bad guys. And so Tim Matheson is able to say goodbye. I guess his brother had maybe in a type of purgatory then.
Yeah, I feel like there might have been
which is kind of
something
dark,
like
I
that.
guess. So he's able to say goodbye to him and have closure. You know?
He's basically just like putting his brother's soul at peace.
Yeah.
And at rest. And whereas in the story, he kind of the brother's there, but he kind of morphs into like a demon, and his soul's lost.
Yeah.
You know, like he, which is strange because he's murdered. So do you think he'd be in heaven?
Yeah.
But, and maybe he is in heaven and he's fine, but this demon, now that he's done this black magic, this demon's there, and he's kind of like, well, now I'm gonna haunt your dreams or something. I don't know.
But again, like, so I feel in this instance that the ending is earned, at least from the perspective of where it was building from the beginning. Of the film.
This storytelling, the storytelling of the film, it's the ending that makes the most sense, and that it works, and I feel like that story, based on how icky you feel at the end of the short story. With his wife dying and everything, that story didn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit in my belly well. Whereas like the film, you're right. I wanted him to be able to like overcome his past and overcome those demons and say goodbye to his brother and bury that so he could have like, he could have like a fulfilling life again.
And the key here, as opposed to the ABC adaptations, which would be 2-parters, 3-parters, 4-parters, this is just a 2-hour.
Yeah, it's just a 90-minute movie. Yeah.
And I think that was the best way to go about it.
Have you guys seen the sequels at all? It's kind
No,
of
because I know the sequel. I know the sequel has the first sequel. Sometimes they come back again.
What's the third
Michael?
one?
Oh, sometimes they come back for more.
Oh my god.
But the sequel, I know Michael Gross is in it. The late Alexis Arquette is in it.
Yeah.
But it follows a similar thing. A person comes back to their hometown, and
But then the third one though.
it's like an Arctic base or something. It's nothing
On the
to do with
third
it.
one, I just saw the poster
Yeah.
is a bunch of ice, like in Antarctica, and like a red monster head. So
Yeah.
it's so weird. I have not seen it, so
Well,
I don't know.
I think this is one thing that we are going to discuss more as this episode goes on about how the 90s era of King and just like how they're able to warp his
totally.
not his legacy but his source material
Lawnmower Man
to just
and-
totally throw a quick
Cash
one on
grabs.
everyone. Cash grabs.
They just rape the stories, and they
Yeah.
just grab the name, and then they forget about
Yeah.
trying to do anything that has anything to do with the story.
Yeah. So I will say there is one huge misstep, and sometimes they come back. But it's so funny that I'm okay with it. We all remember Chip, Bad Boy Jock. Chip.
The
and-
jocks are great in this. They're like your prototypical high five
Yeah,
varsity jacket.
And they all wear varsity
God.
jackets and stuff, and like that's fun. But then like because in the book, Chip just disappears.
Yeah.
Like his dad doesn't know where he is. He just ran away. Here you actually see Chip like partying with the
Oh,
greasers.
I know you're going.
Yeah, and then they're all in the car together, and then basically I think Chip I can't remember what he says, but he pisses them off, or it's like his time to die or whatever. So they all kill him. But then when they're killing him, it just cuts to they're on a bridge, and it cuts to outside the car, and the windows roll down, and they just start throwing his body parts out of the window.
It's so goofy.
And it looks like
that is straight from like McLaughlin's Jason Lives playbook. Like just the goofy, like what the hell?
It made me laugh so
arms
because
and
it
legs.
literally looks like stuff you would buy at like one of those pop-up Halloween stores. Like that's how silly it. Like they throw his head out. Like it's so funny.
But the makeup for them is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
too, for
And
an early
that's what I was
90s.
gonna say is that even though that is fucking ridiculous, I love that scene. But what they decide to do is, they all look normal, but they decide to show him their true face, which is basically like how they ended up after the crash. And I thought that was pretty effective when they start showing like just how mangled they are and
the
the banquet.
A couple little tidbits here too. Some things I noticed that people probably say, "Wow, you've watched too many movies." The retired cop that Jim goes to in this, I really recognize him. I thought at first it was the pharmacy owner from It, in the adaptation, but it's not. It's an actor from Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
All right.
He had not aged in 25 years.
Is that Ebert's movie?
Roger Ebert,
Yeah.
and Russ Meyer did that.
Hot
That's
as hell.
correct. And there's a couple funny bits. His son has a toy train that has the numbers 999 on them. So obviously it's just like it's the old switching around 666.
The old switcheroo.
There's also a little moment where Jim's wife is all alone and she hears a rumbling outside, so she picks up a knife, and then she does a take. And she puts it back. She picks up a larger knife. There's a funny comedic touch there.
That's funny.
I forgot about that.
I mean, look. This wasn't just like a gun for hire. I felt like he really McLaughlin put his stamp on the movie.
Would you call him an auteur?
I reserve that for people like Sam Esmail,
Oh, okay.
the auteur genius from Mr. Robot.
On that note, we're going to go from feature length back to short again with the adaptation of The Ledge from 1985's Cat's Eye.
which was
Anthology.
the anthology film directed by Louis Teague, who also directed Cujo. And this is another Dino De Laurentiis production. Dino, I'll tell you what, Dino loved King. And,
He
this is
like
another example.
reading this book, and the best part of it is that King was just like, you could tell he didn't like it, but he was like, all right, Dino, like fine. Like he just let him keep doing it.
Bought another one.
Yeah.
And so, we'll talk about another Cat's Eye, another adaptation that's in Cat's Eye a little later on. But so this is the second story in Cat's Eye. There are three tales loosely connected by a cat running around.
And Drew
much.
Barrymore being...
And Drew Barrymore playing three different roles. But we'll talk about that later too. So we got The Ledge here, starring the great Robert Hayes from Airplane fame. And he's the role of the tennis instructor. It also features playing the villain, playing the mobster in this, is the same actor who plays Sheriff Gillespie in the Salem's Lot adaptation. Good old Toby Hooper, who also directed The Great Mangler. and I enjoyed this. It's a half an hour long.
Yeah.
It's really good.
They padded out a little bit more. There's a little more humor in this one, obviously. You don't feel the time like you feel the time in the short story itself.
Yeah.
Because the short story, he would close his eyes and like 20 minutes would have passed.
Yeah.
It feels like it kind of goes along a lot quicker. And even though there might be some questionable matte painting or blue screen, you still feel the terror of him being on the ledge and whatnot. So I don't know. There were some minor changes too, but what do you think about it, man?
No, I think that it's a really good adaptation, and you definitely still feel horrified about him going around this ledge. And once again, I think the guy that has him going out there, the mobster, I think he pulls some more pranks on him than he does in the books.
Doesn't he shoot
Right?
at him at one point? Am I making
Well,
that
he's
up?
got an air horn. He's got the fire hose in this that he kind of sprays at him
Yeah.
in his direction.
Yeah, maybe not a gun then, yeah. But
But
He has a drone that he's flying.
No, John.
That'd be like the new modern one.
But I feel like they do kind of cut to him a little bit more, like running around, like looking at him in video
Yeah.
cameras and stuff, and they don't do that in the book. It's just, you're just with him once he gets
Well,
out
the
on
short story,
ledge.
the short story, you were with our hero the entire time as he goes around the ledge. And you hear Kressner, that's the name of the villain,
And
yelling
there's-
down. But in this, you definitely cut back and forth, like, hey, get this ready, get this ready. Yeah.
Also, too, so I also agree. I think it's a really solid adaptation of The Ledge. I mean, I could, and given the circumstances and the time period, I couldn't ask for anything more. There are some differences. I mean, it feels very 80s, obviously.
absolutely.
Definitely.
And it is funny because Kressner in this, I think, is not quite as unnerving as he is in the book. Because in the book, he's more like bookish almost. It's almost like this accountant who's gotten all
He's
this
very
power.
slovenly, like walking
Yeah.
around like a robe on.
I imagine
Yeah.
him as like Orson Welles.
Yes, that's a very good. That
know.
is what he was taking on.
But see,
like a touch of evil Orson
Yes,
Welles. Like a
exactly.
But the way they describe him, touch of evil Orson Welles. I was picturing like,
like Susan Kane.
No, not that.
no, but I picture him because in the book they talk about how he's in this kimono, but he has these glasses. He's almost like Dylan Baker in Road to Perdition, like this kind of And in this, they go way more for the traditional business mogul kind of guy.
Yes.
But I think it works. I think that works.
No, it does.
For like
He's a great actor. The actor's name
something?
is
I forget, yeah.
escaped me, but he's
Wait,
also.
Kressner? It's Macmillan. What's his name?
But he's also in Dune. He plays the Baron
Yeah,
in Dune. He's just a really good character actor.
good villain,
Yeah.
and
Kenneth Macmillan.
Kenneth McMillan.
And I think that it really ties nicely to given the aesthetic of this, like it's a more like gaudy, high rise, like very 80s kind of thing. I think that totally makes sense, and it's really solid. Something that I think you brought up when we were talking about just the stories last time is that you kept picturing James Woods while you were reading The Ledge, and I agree. Like it's funny, James Woods is in Quitters Inc., obviously, but I think those characters have a similar feel to them for some reason, and I really like Robert Hayes from Airplane, but I don't know, part of me wanted someone a little bit slimier, maybe.
Oh
Like,
yeah, because
I
because the thing is, you forget like the
Yeah.
protagonist is a questionable character to begin with.
Yeah.
whose motives aren't necessarily clear.
But they don't-
in the story, but in the adaptation, he's just kind of like this. He's in love with this woman, and they're gonna run away together. He's definitely the good guy. They establish him as the good guy with very little flaw.
In the story, he's like...
in the movie adaptation,
But in the story, because the story is kind of like, well, my career's almost over. I don't really know what I'm going to do
He's
with
a
my
former
life.
thief.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Mike?
Well, yeah, because I still think he's I still think he's a good guy in the book though, because
he's
he does,
definitely a good guy. I
because
don't
he
think
does
he's a bad
love
guy.
her. He
Yeah,
I
like,
just think
absolutely
he's
loved
like
her.
I don't think he's the perfect hero that he's
No, he's
presented
not.
to be
No.
in the film.
No, I actually, it wasn't Woods. Although in hindsight, I do think James Woods would be great. James Caan is the one I was thinking.
that's
Oh,
Jimmy
he would-
Caan,
because
of the
James
thief
Caan,
element,
yeah.
because he had been in jail before, and I just imagined him in like the jacket from like Thief, just walking in, being like, what are we doing here?
I could see him doing that.
Yeah,
Another big difference though in the adaptation is in the story you find out from Kressner. It's Kressner, right? I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's Kressner.
That his wife was killed.
Yeah.
But in the movie, it's
see-
very like he's like, I promised you money, I promised you this, and of course my wife. And he just kicks this bag, and her head rolls out.
Yeah.
And it's such a fun, like gross '80s horror moment that it works for me better than in the short story Revelation.
And it totally does. In a way,
And Robert Hayes' face is like just it's good acting.
in a way, it makes it because the ending of the story is a little bit, not a little bit, it's a lot sad with the wife dying.
Yeah.
But I think, and the head doesn't look great. It looks like kind of like a mannequin.
It's like a wig rolling down.
It does nicely.
It's like Nadine falling out of the window.
Yeah. it like does temper that a little bit. Like you don't feel quite as depressed, and also they actually show Kressner falling in this too.
And there's a little fun part there because earlier on he keeps honking this air horn like Vic Berger style at Robert Hayes' character, and then it falls, and you see it fall, and you know how fall that drop is. You hear it honk at the bottom, and so then once Kressner falls, you hear him falling, and you see the cat watching him fall, and it ends with him landing on the horn.
And you hear like yeah.
And I would say that's another difference between the book and the whereas in the film version we actually see him fall due to the what was it the pigeon?
The pigeon,
right?
Yeah.
And in the book, it just ends
It's hinted.
with
He's like,
our
did I hear
hero
a
is sitting
scream?
there thinking, did I? Or like, well, it doesn't matter because if he does come around, I'm gonna shoot him and kill him anyways, So it's
and this
very
harkens back to the
interesting.
question because again, this works really well as a 30-minute short in an anthology film, and why don't we have more anthology films like this? I don't understand. You could do so much with these
yeah.
kid
I think
stories.
I honestly think that's going to change soon because
Yeah.
now that
There's
we're
been
actually
a lot recently.
yeah,
like XX, for example,
Yeah, and
and
VHS.
then-
But
Yeah.
I mean strictly like King. Like,
Yeah, I
why
think
isn't
we're
there a
gonna
night
see more.
shift series, a Netflix?
Well, maybe that's
20
what the Castle
episode,
Rock
two
It
series
could be
will
what
be
Castle
like,
Rock
yeah.
is. I think
maybe.
Netflix is going to double down with that type of stuff soon because it's the rewatchability of it is great.
And I think Netflix is kind of. I mean, it's funny because we're so used now to these Netflix series and these Amazon series and all that. We have to remember that it's still kind of a new thing,
It
the
is.
whole idea of a streaming series. And I think and in the early ones, we were talking about Lilyhammer.
I was
the
just
other
going to
night.
bring it up. I mean, we're not that far away from Lilyhammer.
Lilyhammer only came out a while ago, and that was Netflix, one of their first original series, and it didn't. It did okay, but
was crap.
you weren't hearing a lot of
Matt-
acclaim, and I think
Matt Weiner from Mad Men, his new series is on Amazon. It's an anthology series.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. And so I think what's happening now, and there are still crappy Netflix series that come out, but you had your Orange is the New Black. You have second season not great, but Bloodline. They've had enough home runs at this point. I think they're really figuring out now how to really use that to their advantage. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more Stephen King stuff.
Oh, I guarantee
Especially
you
after
will.
Stranger Things.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, and 11/22 on Hulu
Yeah.
too.
And anthology-wise, just seeing things like like Black Mirror, where it's a
Yeah.
different story every episode coming about,
Mirror.
or Tales from the Crypts coming back. I think there's a want for these, and I think it's because again with attention span and people I can't invest in 7 seasons of a show, but when you're going from episode to episode, it's completely
easy.
different every time. It's easy. You can step away from it for a long time and come back and watch the next episode.
And we talk about this so much, it's so hard to sustain horror, especially in a film, for an hour and a half, 2 hours. That's why those, the Halloweens of the world are so incredible because they're able to maintain and
mood
sustain
for-
that suspense. So, if you give yourself, in these, there are 3 stories, the movie's about 90 minutes long, so you got half an hour. It's not that hard to, really ramp up the tension, knowing that you don't have to worry about the balloon being let out and having an anticlimax or 45 minutes of exposition.
And I think
just
too-
get down to it, and I think it really works here. And that's why I really would like to see not just more King adaptations, because hey, you know what? We all love Stephen King.
Yeah.
But
Can't get enough.
get him in these short bursts.
And you don't
We're
need
so
these-
effective.
and you don't need these button endings too. I would say 15 of the 20 stories always end on kind of I hope someone comes back.
Yeah, like an ambiguous
an
note,
ambiguous
yeah.
ending, and I like that, and I think that you can do that with a short adaptation, a film adaptation as well, and still have it work.
Yeah.
If you don't have to, we would spend 2 hours on this, so we need a button ending. You know what I mean?
Even if you think about all the stories in Night Shift. Now, yeah, some of them would require some money behind them, like Jerusalem's Lot, or if they did a Trucks that was actually good. But for the most part, I mean, you think of things like The Ledge and Quitters Inc. and Last Rung on the Ladder and The Woman in the Room and even The Boogeyman. These aren't stories that would need a ton of money put into them. I mean, a lot of them are one setting, a few actors. I feel like you could get some good names in it and just get a solid director. I think it makes sense economically and also just what the public wants storytelling wise. So I would love to see a Netflix Night Shift adaptation.
Fun bit of trivia. Kressner flips through a magazine on the coffee table, and it is the July 1976 issue of Penthouse, which is when this story was published.
That's
That's kind of cool. I
that
like
is
that.
really cool.
And they're in a penthouse.
There are a lot of nods to King throughout Cat's Eye. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on.
So I think on that note, let's pivot to. This was a very faithful adaptation for the most part that was very successful. Let's move on to one that's a little little bit stranger in terms of adaptation, and that's 1992's Jeff Fahey starring The Lawnmower Man. I'm a huge Jeff Fahey fan.
I love Fahey. Love Fahey.
Psycho 3, Lost.
He's great in Lost.
Justified.
One of my favorite characters in Lost. This film, it's so funny that it's iconic for being related to Stephen King when it's the furthest adaptation you could possibly imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's when you sit back and think about the process of this film and like just
It's
the storyline, it is so batshit. Like I say, batshit crazy all the time. This is legitimately batshit crazy when you really think of how far away from the source material it is.
Yeah.
Now,
So, could you walk through the origin of it?
yeah.
'Cause
All right.
it's
So basically,
ludicrous.
the original, everyone knows now at this point that the Lawnmower Man it's associated with virtual reality, and there's a reason for that because the original script was actually called Cyber God, and the director Brett Leonard. Brett Leonard.
80s tech
Yeah,
name.
It is. Well, I mean, it was early '90s, so it makes sense that they were trying to get something going with like some sort of cyber thing. And here, what's crazy is that director Brett Leonard and producer Gimel Everett, they had a screenplay that was called Cyber God, and it really had nothing to do with Lawnmower Man whatsoever, nothing. But New Line Cinema had the rights to this story, which, by the way, why anybody would buy rights to this story is just beyond
because
me.
Dino was
But-
buying up everything.
that could be, and then they were probably like, "Oh, we gotta get it."
Like,
Yeah,
what,
they
what,
just
yeah, what do you
scrapped.
got left from Night Shift? I got the Lawnmower Man and Gray Matter.
Going back to our ongoing, our own adaptation of what's going on with King and Dino, you can see they're out. Like, I just imagine there's like a great Hollywood patio, and there's like bowls of cocaine everywhere, and like people are like hanging out in like those cool like cut sleeve shirts, or all like all hanging out by the sofa, and King walks in, he's just like all sweaty and everything, and Dino's sitting there with like a cigarette, like on
Or a cigar.
like a cigar or something, but he's like looking out in his like palatial state. It's very Scarface or
Yeah.
And King's like, well, Dino, you're buying up everything. like, are you going to let anybody, like, you got to let other visionaries adapt my work? And he's like, don't worry, Steven. I've left the Lawnmower Man. I've left, countless other books, but the Lawnmower Man's on there. And
Should we explain the difference between the two, the story and the movie, just for people?
Yeah. So anyway, if you recall in the Night Shift story, it's actually about the plot of the short story is basically that there's a guy named Harold Parquette who hires Pastoral Greenery and Outdoor Services Incorporated. That's the company. They hire this company to cut his lawn. And the serviceman who arrives to do the job, he's got a lawnmower and he mows the lawn, but then he takes off all his clothes and starts worshiping Pan and eventually kills the guy.
Yeah.
And you think that's a weird short story. It's totally insane and it's pretty unadaptable. So then you actually look at the movie, which is about a lawnmower man that's been taken in by Pierce Brosnan, who
He's
owns
like mentally challenged.
a mentally challenged lawnmower man who becomes basically becomes what the title of the original script was, a cyber god.
It's
It
like,
becomes this all-encompassing, powerful VR like.
It's like a Flowers for Algernon kind
Yeah,
of thing. It's like
it is.
they start experimenting on him and with these VR simulations and drugs or whatever, and he becomes this, and he rebels against his masters. Right?
Yeah, and it basically becomes like this easy way to do bullshit special effects spectacle in the 90s and talk about tech when Hollywood had no grasp on what tech really was at the time. So it's just like, oh, virtual reality, let's do
Yeah.
it. Like,
Look
let's
at
throw
my
it out.
hands.
Look at my crazy hands. So we have now we have Lawnmower Man, the Stephen King story that was originally about this pan worshipping psychopath that is now about a video game that basically has become a Super Nintendo game. Like, that's what most people remember this from, because it was a very cutting edge video game that came out for Super Nintendo and like a couple other ports and whatnot, and even spawned a sequel, Job's War. Which we're not going to go into at that one, but when you actually look at Job's War and you realize that like this all ties back to a short story about like the pan worshipping lawnmower man, it's like your head starts hurting. Like how the hell did this actually happen?
Yeah, and I never thought I would do this, but I'm gonna attempt to protect the Lawnmower Man here. when you think about it, the whole first story is about this guy who worships the great, kind of like the great is the great god Pan, kind of this whole like naturalistic, very in touch with the earth, and is literally has like attributes of the earth, like his I think his pubic hair is green, and
green
stuff
pubes.
like that. Yeah, but and worshiping that kind of thing, and then you have in the what was it, the 90s, early 90s, when this came out?
92. Yeah.
Everything's moving into technology and into the future, and like so you have this like the god of the earth, and you have this god of like the internet, like this whole thing, and I think that's probably what they were thinking.
No.
Yeah, no. Here's the only reference.
Let me say this.
That's a nice-
Mac, you were like making really, really good points, and at the end when you're like, I'm sure they were really going down the sincere, like, well, it is the Lawnmower
Like,
Man
well, if you
story.
spend as much time as we have thinking
Yeah,
about
that's
this,
true.
you could probably come to that conclusion.
The only reference to the actual short story is a scene where Job kills Peter's father with this lawnmower man named Big Red. In the aftermath, like the police come over and they mention that there was some of his blood before he's in the bird bath or whatever. And then there's also the pastoral greenery. So those little token references to the short story were enough that actually they weren't enough
because Stephen
King sued them and said, look, get your name, because it was originally called Stephen King's The Lawnmower Man.
Yeah.
And he was like, look, I've gone through the 80s.
Yeah.
If you guys have taken my work and tarnished it, this is too much.
Yeah.
And it
Because
took a while.
this is, I mean, even the lesser adaptations are still pretty faithful adaptations.
Yeah.
But this is.
Well, no, what else is that?
This is ripping him
and
off.
I think he
Yeah.
actually, I think he might get like a gross percentage or something.
Well,
of-
what I have here is, like, he demanded they take his name off it and everything, and they refused, so he sued him, and the studio was ordered to pay $10,000, which doesn't sound like a lot, but then it says
Inflation.
and full profits.
Wow.
So everything they make is what, and I will say, going back to Mac's point, and I know you were joking, like, and do I think that was a conscious choice?
No.
But I do think that is interesting how the original story is so much about being in touch with the earth and
About nature.
nature, and then it becomes about the opposite of that in this. It's funny because I feel like they could have avoided getting sued by Stephen King if they had fit more elements in there. I'm not saying it would have made it a good movie, but they could have done, like, Job could have been more like that Lawnmower Man. He could have even had the sort of
Green pubes.
sort of the debate with like the guy who owns the house. Like you could have that whole conversation, then you go into the cyber territory.
Or even like Job's cyber god appearance could have been more like the great god Pan
Exactly,
or something,
yeah.
like with hooves and done that.
yeah.
But they clearly didn't. Maybe they didn't have the technology to do CG hooves.
No, they made him look like a cross between like one of the villains in Killer Instinct, the video game,
Yeah.
and then also the weird like film strip guy that used to appear in AMC bumpers.
Look at the guy who surfed on the film reel.
All right, so I'm gonna blow your mind again with this, because constant listeners, this is, if you have never actually heard the Lawnmower Man like lore, you're obviously sitting there going like, what is going on? Like, I can't believe this happened. I bet you when you were reading The Lawnmower Man, you never in a million years thought of movies like Moneyball, Captain Phillips, The Social Network, Magnolia, and American History X. Oh, but there is a connection there, and it's not as long as the 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. The 1987 adaptation of The Lawnmower Man, which is a short film that runs about 12 minutes, and I don't know if it's exactly a Dollar Baby short, but I think it's just a
short film.
It's just a short film that they did. Now, that was filmed by James Gonis, and he just has a couple of special things here and there, but it was written by Michael DeLuca.
Oh.
Yeah.
And he's the super producer in Hollywood who's responsible for all the films I just announced before. But he also wrote, and this is a film that we touched upon earlier, Freddy's Dead. He did with the Freddy's Nightmares. He did also. He wrote the In the Mouth of Madness.
Man.
And he did the story for our favorite Sylvester Stallone movie, Judge Dredd. So this is actually, it's a very, again, like we said, it's a very hard story to adapt. I don't think that it really is something for film. I don't really even think it was something for literature. But I
shouldn't
think
exist.
it shouldn't exist. It's a stupid story, and this is why it was like one of our lower ones. But it is kind of interesting how they were able to pull it off with this like small short story.
Well, and how do you guys think, divorce the Stephen King adaptation element from The Lawnmower Man, how is it as a movie? Because it does we make fun of it, but it does get some credit for like pioneering some CGI special effects and things like that.
Yeah, the special effects, obviously, looking back, are dated, but at the time, it was
They're great.
a big innovation. I will say the ending is pretty effective.
What happens in it?
At some point in the film, our good friend, the Lawnmower Man, Jeff Fahey's character, what's his name again?
Job.
Job. Oh, it's Job's War, of
Who
course.
was replaced by Stephen King regular
Matt Frewer.
in
Yeah.
the sequel.
Love Matt Frewer.
Called
Frewer.
Beyond Cyberspace here, but released as Job's
War,
overseas.
which I actually saw in theaters, having not
but
seen the first
at
one.
some point, of course,
God.
at some point, he says, "You'll know I made it to the next level of existence if all the phones will ring at the same time."
Oh yeah.
And so the movie ends. You think it's over, and then Pierce Brosnan's leaving his basement, and he hears the phone ring, and he hears another phone ring, and they cut to like kind of around the world,
Yeah.
and, like England, and you hear like the different phones ringing, and it ends.
That's kind of neat.
And it was kind of, and there's like no like big music going on. It's just phones ringing. Phones
That's
ringing,
cool.
phone. I
Yeah.
thought, well, that's pretty effective.
Yeah.
But of course, you have to remember the rest of the movie is just him being hooked up to this virtual
Yeah.
reality, and
There's virtual reality sex.
I
and-
Well, I was
appreciate
right
it
about to
good.
say, like, when I was a kid when this came out, and I remember being in the trailer, I think, they hinted at virtual reality sex.
but it's just the two like liquid figures.
But
like,
I remember
yeah.
being like, ooh, like, titillated. Like,
Hey, well,
oh my God.
And the other thing too is actually Audio Tree, some of the guys who work there just threw the Lawnmower Man on. I watched the beginning of it, and we love Jeff Fahey as an actor, and maybe this is more in how he's being directed, but he's doing a little bit of like Simple Jack and
Simple Jack.
he's like
Sure.
kind of thing with how he's portraying mentally challenged man. It's very just like
He's out of his
don't
element.
hurt me, you know.
Yeah.
It's very. And like I say, I don't blame him. It was another era and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't think as a sci-fi movie, like it's kind of like a B level. You know, it's not horrible,
No, I mean,
but it's
based on the actual two films that we've discussed here, which was the 12-minute short,
Yeah.
and which we kind of glanced over, and then we also have this, the big budget one. Yeah, I would much rather watch the
Yeah.
big budget Pierce Brosnan film because as the short proves that like this shouldn't, it's not a story.
The
Like,
short,
you know,
the
it's-
short's interesting because I mean it was so low budget. If it wasn't made when they were in film school, it was right afterwards. They even
Yeah.
have no joke. The credits are like hand drawn
Yeah.
on like a which we can
It's cute, yeah.
it's like this low quality thing. And I gotta say, I mean it is to a T exactly like the
Yeah.
story. It's filmed in Southern California, so it doesn't have that mean look about it, but.
It's got the greenery. About
It's got the
it.
greenery. They totally, the dude is naked. They do the gross like green juice dribbling down him. They even do. It's not great. It's very stilted in that, but they even do the hooves, and it's hilarious how they do them because obviously
it's like a
that
small
would
budget.
cost some money to show this guy with like actual goat feet, and so. He starts like coming towards the guy, and they play like a dong 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 music, and
Yeah.
then they don't even zoom down. They just show a shot, and it's clearly like in Guar, the band Guar, how
Yeah.
like the one of them has like hooves,
Yeah.
and it doesn't even look that good. Like it's clearly just almost like garbage bags wrapped around cardboard, and you just see the hooves going dong
Yeah.
dong, and it doesn't really make much sense because it doesn't really convey that the guy is like the great god Pan, but. They, at least the dialogue is straight from the book, and they do the lawnmower coming into the house to like kill the guy in the end is actually kind of creepy, and so
Yeah.
it's not amazing. It's not an amazing like dollar baby or whatever, but it really is true to the source material. And like you said, the source material not exactly an
It's
amazing.
amazing
story.
for the fact that they were able to adapt it.
Yeah, exactly.
But where can you find that?
You can
on
find it on
YouTube.
YouTube. We're
Yeah.
going to be posting them all throughout the the week when
Yeah.
And
There is one.
there were 3 video games made out of the Lawnmower Man. Like,
That's
I
crazy.
think that's so crazy.
It's just given the story. I mean, we don't have an adaptation of like from a Buick 8. But
I
we
know.
have, like how it'd be-
I just remember playing the game and it would freeze frame on like Job like pushing the lawnmower, but it looked like he was like kind of swinging it or whatever. And I just remember being like, what is the point of this story? It's just a weird story. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
And like there was an in-canon sequel that was a
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
an FMV game. But there was also the one that was based on it for the SNES. But there was a PC game that was literally a direct sequel, and then a sequel to that was I can't remember what that was on, but it was not an FMV.
Wasn't it called The Lawnmower Man Beyond Relevance?
There is, I will say, there is one very successful, in my opinion, adaptation of The Lawnmower Man that's very effective, and it's a comic adaptation. It's really good. It's hard. I've never seen it like the full thing in person. But you can find like stills of it online. It was done in the 80s, I think, as part of like a Weird Tales or Amazing Tales thing. Bernie Wrightson didn't do the art, but it has that kind of very kind of rough, but also very detailed artwork, like old school EC Comics horror artwork about it. And I think as a comic story, as a short little weird comic story where they can visually do all that stuff, it actually is kind of cool.
So you said this is based on the short story.
The
not
short
based on
story,
the
yeah.
film. Okay.
And they I can't remember who. It may have been Vertigo or Boom. One of the big independent.
Dark Horse.
No, I think it was Dark Horse actually. They did a re-release of it a few years ago. It's like a collector's item, so it's hard to find, but it's good. I mean, I think it's like the perfect medium for a Lawnmower Man adaptation, given how just bizarre the short story is. Because it's totally something you would see in like House of what is it? The Swamp Thing guys, House of the anthology, House of Mystery, it's like totally something you would see in something like that.
Do you think Swamp Thing had green pubes?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's
or at least green moss.
he's an elemental, and the way that Swamp Thing mates is actually not with the traditional penis. So
You fucking dork.
I'm sorry.
Well, as we mentioned in a few weeks back, they are actually trying to reboot the series for Lawnmower Man, but they're still just adapting the Cyber God script. So they should just use the original title again. But the problem is that it's so ingrained in pop culture now. Even if you're going to talk about the Lawnmower Man like an actual lawnmower service, I'm sure somewhere deep down in your head you're thinking, oh, the virtual reality, like virtual reality again, like virtual reality tied to this Lawnmower Man.
More people know it for that than for the Stephen King connection.
It's
just let's go back to Cat's Eye for the next film, which is the adaptation of Quitters Inc., starring our favorite Jimmy Woods.
Right off the bat, I think
vampires.
we can all agree about a few things here. One, James Woods' politics are awful.
Yes.
But two, I mean, you want to talk about like era-defining actors?
Oh, yeah.
Like when you think of the 80s, you think of Reaganomics.
Yeah.
You think of Gorbachev. And you think of James Woods.
I agree with that.
He's an iconic 80s actor. I still love him today.
He's a great Stephen King actor.
He
embodies.
Yes, he does. He is like the perfect amount of smarm that's needed for this role. This I've got it all. I can handle anything. I don't take anything seriously. And he handles it. See, he's great as the lead in this.
Yeah.
I mean, he's no
great.
Caleb Mandrake in this, but I think that
Harvey Mandrake.
Harvey Mandrake. He's no Harvey Mandrake. His character in Any Given Sunday, which is just genius, and also his role in Vampires, he's great. Also,
I love him in the leather jacket. And
love the
if
jacket.
you want to look for the
glasses.
greatest GIF that's on the internet, it's of
Just
James
type in
Woods.
James Woods.
Just James Woods. Yeah, I think that's all you need. It's of him walking out of a building, vampires, and his jacket and sunglasses. And an explosion behind him, and he kind of reacts to it.
It's like they couldn't get Peter Weller to do this, so they're like, James. Like,
James Woods available?
Oh, I love Peter Weller.
Yeah, that would have been good too, but that's okay.
So
but
what do we think about Quitters Inc. here?
Another half
great.
hour. It
Yep.
works really good. It's the lead
Half hour of
story.
power.
Half hour of power. It's the James Woods power half hour. It's half an hour, and it's again very, very faithful.
It's a very tight
to the
story,
short
just
story,
as
yeah.
tight as the other, as the story that's actually in the pages.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I actually think that the film adaptation once again does a better job than the story actually. Because there's that portion of the story where his wife is talking to him, and he's like, after she gets shocked, almost which is, I mean, she does get shocked, and he tells her why it's happening, and she's like, "Oh well, I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy that it's so fucking unrealistic." And so at least in this. Is that they don't really do that.
You see it on camera, but you don't hear it.
You don't hear it, so it kind of works a little bit better. And then I think it's just jarring to see them do these things to him, and watching Mr. Woods get paranoid in his study.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
He does it great, and they kind of take this almost like surreal, because he's off of the cigarettes, he's kind of like hallucinating. And I love that scene at the party when everyone's like got these huge cigarettes and it's all this smoke and everything.
Yeah, Alan,
It's like,
you haven't lived until you see the Friars Club comedic legend Alan King walking down steps, lip syncing to a cover of "I'll Be Watching You" by the Police, or "Every Breath You Take" by the Police, which again is a recurring song throughout the film. The cover,
and that's something
It was a hot song at the time.
Yeah.
That's something I'd like to talk about really quick. With just, I guess this more is about Cat's Eye in general. A lot of people criticize the framing device of the cat. I kind of like it though.
it's fun. It's just a goofy way of
Yeah.
connecting. It's not you're supposed to take it
I love
seriously.
how they take.
Well, there was a
instead of their-
cut scene, right, that explained the cat's purpose. That's what I
there
read.
was something about that, like cats being protective,
And they cut it because they said it was too silly.
they had a thing about like the cat being a guardian, which is
Well, no, it is though,
yeah.
because I will say this. We'll talk about the framing device of the cat.
Yeah.
That pops up in the 3 stories. His name's we call him the General later on. He
Yeah.
becomes a general. So his cat's walking around, as you will. A cat's walking around the city, and he sees another character that Drew Barrymore plays saying, "You've got to find me and help me." Mm-hmm. And so it's him trying to get to Drew Barrymore's.
And she plays
character.
his
She
daughter.
plays, and it's weird. She plays this. She's credited as Our Girl, which is weird. And so, but in this, she plays his mentally handicapped daughter. Or in the
Who's
short
his
story, it's
son.
his son. And and then very in the general, she's just a little girl. that's in it.
Isn't the very beginning have references to other states?
So
like
she-
there's
Yes.
Cujo.
Okay. So here's the thing about that. So right off the bat, the cat's running away from a dog that's a Saint Bernard. It's obviously supposed to be
Cujo.
our good friend Cujo.
Our good friend.
And then, but then there's a Plymouth Fury,
Christine.
but it's which is enough, right? You would laugh. You see the Plymouth Fury. It's
Yeah.
funny. You see the Cujo, but there's a bumper sticker
Yeah.
on the back of the car that says, "Watch out for me. I'm pure evil. I am Christine."
Wait,
I swear, it's a bumper sticker that says that. Like, yeah,
Wait, are you
we
sure?
got it.
I
I
thought-
swear, it's.
I thought the license plate just said Christine
no,
or something.
I made notes
Oh,
while we were
man.
watching it. It's
Oh,
on
man,
there.
that's
Watch
really
out for
funny,
me.
yeah.
I'm pure evil.
And
I
is,
am
and is
Christine.
are there any other?
Oh yeah, okay. So in this short story, James, we gotta find a still of it. It's great. James Wood's daughter
is
goes to
ridiculous.
St. Stephen's School.
ooh,
Morrison, who's James Wood's character, he watches The Dead Zone
Oh, I didn't even
in
notice
the
that.
short
yeah.
story, which is
Oh, and
funny
does he
little
say
jokes.
who writes this crap?
Yes, which is great. And James Wood's typical smile.
Stephen King always does that. I mean, he does it in Bizarre Bad Dreams a few times. I do tire a little bit of like, this is a stupid horror writer. You know.
But this is a very early instance.
was,
Maybe
it
the
was.
first instance of him being a little self-deprecating.
Yeah, in a movie, I think so.
In a
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
and I love how I love how they open it with the cat getting captured by Quitters Inc. to be, and the book it's a rabbit who goes on the
Yeah.
shock floor, but here it's a cat.
cat.
Yeah, I really like it. I think it just has a nice through line, and I'm with you guys.
Doesn't it use like magical music though in the beginning though? It's like
Oh, but that's the other thing. This came out the same year as Back to the Future.
Oh, so
Alan
Alan Silvestri
Silvestri did both.
Wow.
Wow.
But this seems light years
Yeah.
away.
Clearly
from
exhausted
Cat's
all
Eye.
his talents.
I mean,
on
from Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a banner year for Silvestri, but like,
Has he
but
done, well, let's talk about Silvestri for a second though. Has he done any other good scores since Back to the Future?
I think he still does stuff with
Carpenter?
The Marvel
Zemeckis.
movies?
I think he does stuff with Zemeckis.
Does he do the Marvel movies too every once in a while? But they're so
I think
forgettable.
he did the Avengers music.
Who can anybody hum the Avengers theme? Like,
No.
I mean,
I mean, he did like Iron Fist.
Look,
but you know what?
you get
At the
a
end of the
couple
day,
of iconic.
at the end of the
compositions.
day, he did the Back to the Future score,
Which is the
so
greatest.
Congratulations. To him.
Anyway, with Critters Inc., I was
Sorry, yeah.
the one thing I do like about this adaptation though is that there is a menace to it. I think this short story, there's more menace to the actual short story itself, but this one has that classic creep show '80s menace where it's almost like it's so pulpy and it's kind of like affable in a weird way.
Well, Mac brought up the going paranoid in the study, which that's not in the book, and I like that. I like how he has this thing of like, is someone outside my house?
they do have a
that's
study
going-
scene in the
Oh,
book,
yeah, there is one in the
but he
book.
doesn't have a hallucination though.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
like
in the movie, he actually it's confirmed that someone is in the closet.
Oh,
but
really?
it's funny the way they do. There's
It's
a lot of
funny,
dark humor.
yeah.
Like we mentioned the horn that Kressner lands on in the ledge. Well, in this, James Woods opens up the closet and is like, "Oh, there's nobody in there." And so he takes up his umbrella and throws it in the closet, and you hear this guy go. "Mm." and then
back,
James
there's-
Woods looks back, and
He
then he
sees
kind
the
of sees.
feet, right?
Yeah, he sees boots at the bottom, and then he just kind of walks away.
That's like eerie.
But it's
Like,
funny. But it's
yeah.
like a funny. You
Yeah,
know, it's a
yeah.
funny.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be scared shitless if that happened,
It's
but
treated a little more lightheartedly
Yeah.
than
Oh, yeah.
obviously the book, especially in the book when they're going into like the many ways that they're going to like hurt his family.
Yeah.
They go into that a lot deeper and darker.
Well, it's funny though. In the movie, though, I think in the movie he says, "We'll rape your wife," but in the book he doesn't say "we'll rape your wife." I think it's darker in the movie.
It's not. There's no rape in
In the book, yeah.
yeah.
But in the
no.
movie he goes, and then if you smoke again, we'll break your arm. If you do it again, we'll rape your daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll rape your wife. So it's a little. That's kind of out of left field.
And,
Yeah.
in terms
and,
of the tone
and they
of the rest of
also,
it.
I brought this up when we talked about the story, the short story. In the short story where they talk about like, oh, if you don't lose the weight you've gained from the cigarettes, well, cut off your wife's little finger. And in the story, I think it's, that's sincere right off the bat.
Yeah.
Whereas I love what they do in this. They treat it just like a joke, like everything's great now, and that makes that final ending that much more like, ooh,
Yeah.
like that it actually has a creepiness to it.
I think that's such a good little addition.
Yeah.
that they do on that.
Cat's Eye, I like Cat's Eye.
And to go
man.
back to Alan King, who's such a famous comedian.
And he's Stephen King's brother, right?
No.
No, I'm joking. Jesus Christ. I'm just joking.
Or like his uncle. No, but this kind of goes to him playing against type, and you've got Richard Dawson playing totally against type in The Running Man a couple years later. So, it's interesting casting choices by Louis Teague for Cat's Eye.
Good job, Mr. Teague.
Yeah.
The third story of Cat's Eye, and we're kind of jumping off topic here, but it's kind of an insular thing. It's only from Cat's Eye, and I guess Stephen King wrote the screenplay. Is a story called The General, where the cat ends up at this little girl's home, and they kind of take the cat in begrudgingly. The parents don't want it, but the girl, Drew Barrymore, just loves this cat. Calls him the General. There's apparently this little goblin living in the house that creeps out every night, and there's a story I think the father tells her about where there's an old legend where cats will sit on your chest and steal your breath. But you find out that actually it's this gremlin that's doing it, and then they just blamed it on all the cats in the past.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's interesting because the cat thing is tied to night terrors, like people who have night terrors, and sometimes they'll have what they'll see when they're having night terrors is there will be a cat on their chest, and like that's why they can't move,
which is interesting.
And but
because-
in paintings, like it's depicted as like a goblin or a demon
Yeah.
that is the actual cause of like night terrors. So
Because there's actually a thing called old hag syndrome.
Yeah.
Where people wake up and there's like a witch sitting on their chest.
Yeah.
So it's very demonic, very
Is it
creepy.
like a small
So I
witch or
think,
like a big witch?
probably
Big witch.
probably a medium.
a big witch, which is my favorite dinner. Some nights.
I like sandwiches.
So ultimately, you can see why King pulled from this kind of like haunting story of these night terrors,
Yeah.
or something stealing your breath, which I think is a pretty creepy story. The goblin,
By the way, is not just like a played by a dwarf or anything. It's like a 6-inch high
And
little
voiced
thing living in the wall.
by voice actor extraordinaire Frank Welker.
Oh,
Did
yeah.
Gremlins and
I
he's
love-
on everything.
love
yeah.
Frank Welker.
I do too.
and
Yeah.
they do a really good job with the puppetry, it's all perspective shots as well.
Yeah.
It's a guy in a suit, with an animatronic looking face, I guess.
Yeah.
With like large furniture to make him look
Yeah,
small.
yeah, and they do a good job with it. It's kind of silly and over the top.
Oh, it's
but-
silly. It's a fun little creepy story.
Yeah. Well,
You know
I would
what
say for the most part, like the first half of that story is very creepy, but like when it's like on the record player
Yeah.
and it's playing the
The police.
it gets kind of ludicrous and
It is-
and silly. Like the parents' reaction to like, oh, here's the knife. Like, oh, we were wrong. Like
It's not a capper. Like this should not be the ending.
Yeah.
Of the movie,
It-
especially when
it
you have
is-
stronger stories.
It is
Because the first
weird.
two are such adult stories.
Yes, exactly.
And so for it
Yeah.
to climax on this like
One
little
is-
ghost story with a
It's
little
the
girl
only
and-
supernatural story in there, but
Yeah.
I still do like it as a
fun.
story.
It's very 80s.
And it,
Oh, yeah.
and it honestly, it does make sense as a capper to me because it's like the cat's been going towards this is
Oh yeah,
the
no,
vision.
it does make sense with the
But
the
it is weird to go
the
from like
payoff is kinda meh.
adults dealing with romance and addiction to
Yeah.
a cat fighting a troll.
I mean, had they made it where like the kid itself was like a problem and it was like about like raising children,
Yeah.
and that would have been a cool little progression that you could have had here to to be this
Yeah.
like adult cautionary tale.
But you see him right
No.
off the bat, right?
Yeah.
The first scene, he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah."
Yeah, like I mean, like creepy children is never really that big of a trope in horror. So like, I don't know if they could have done that, but
Another fun fact: Candy Clark from American Graffiti
Yeah.
plays the mother, and she's really against having this cat. She's really
Does
against
not
it the whole time. And a little fun fact: she's in bed reading a little book called Pet Cemetery.
oh,
So I wonder if she's not a big fan of church, and so she's not a big fan of this cat.
Hey, and also, the cat's name is General. Winston Churchill, was he a general?
oh, interesting.
Is it
wait a
right?
minute.
Was he? General Churchill? I don't know.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think it works for this.
yeah.
Interesting enough, it was actually Winston Churchill who was really big on the endowments of arts in this country, and if we looked. If we looked at his quotes, we'd realize that like the NDA is like an important thing to have in this.
You know what else is important? Corn. And the children that roam within it, and that brings us to the children of the Corn, 1984.
Yeah, so Children of the Corn. Again, it's just based on this couple that drives into what seems to be an abandoned town in Nebraska, and little do they know it's been overrun by children who worship a god in the field of corn. That sounds really stupid.
He who
but it's
walks
actually
behind
really
the
effective.
rows.
He who walks behind the rows.
It's very good.
I mean, the short story itself is actually a perfect setup for a horror movie because, like, it is like I had said in the last episode. It's like the first 25 minutes of every horror movie, and it just ends. Like,
But what I like that about the short story, though,
Yeah.
is I feel, and they had two options to go through. They had two options for this movie. Do you double down, like we talked about? What were we talking about earlier? Graveyard Shift.
Mm-hmm.
Do you double down the suspense and just have them kind of traveling around this town, maybe hearing footsteps or something like that for an hour, and then reveal the kids at the end? Or do you have kids throughout the entire movie? Well, they have kids throughout the entire movie. Any suspense is lost. You actually, the movie opens with the children's massacre.
One of the
parents.
kids Job narrates it.
You've
the
got
whole
a
time.
narrator who's only in like a third of the movie, but he narrates a third of it.
And
It's very bizarre.
despite, like you just said, this is a great premise for a horror movie.
Yeah.
It opens with kids slaughtering their parents. Sounds pretty good.
Where do we go from here, though? At that
but
point,
but
everybody's dead.
Oh, we go to boredom.
We go to boredom
because
town.
this is the most boring friggin' movie.
And the other thing is, in the short story, Bert and Vicky are awful people.
Yeah.
They're married, but they hate each other. They hate each other. But in this, Bert, who's played by another 30-something veteran, Timothy Busfield, played by Peter Horton.
should have been Busfield
And,
though.
Linda Hamilton plays Vicky.
Busfield
Yeah.
never would have gotten Hamilton.
Well, and the problem is
Never
too is
gonna
Because
that,
this is Revenge of the Nerds era Busfield. It wouldn't have been much. But it's funny because Linda Hamilton did this, and a couple months later, Terminator came out. So
Which one was the bigger movie?
that's a
man.
great question.
the problem
Well,
is too
how
that
many sequels
that's
does Children of
true.
the Corn have versus Terminator?
That's a good point.
they start off. See, like Justin said, they start off showing this massacre, which that just ruins so much of it right off the bat because there's nothing left for them to figure out because we already know as the audience what happened. There's that. There's some. I usually hate when people pick apart like little logistical things in horror movies
do too.
because it
It's-
bothers
yeah,
me.
it's-
Like when I watch Halloween with friends, I hate when they say like, "Oh yeah, run in there." That makes sense, but there are a couple big things in this movie. So the idea is that the children massacre all the adults, and they sacrifice when you turn 18 or 19, then eventually 18. He who walks behind the rows. It's assumed that this has been going on for a while, and that's what this movie sets up. But these kids are the exact same fucking age in the beginning of of this massacre. So that in itself, I know, like I said, I usually don't pick apart that stuff, but also they have Job doing it as this voiceover, like it's from his perspective, and the initial massacre is from his perspective. But then they cut back and forth between scenes with the Corn kids and Linda Hamilton. It just doesn't make sense from a framing device, how they
It's
do
like
this.
we're going about it's like episode 1, like the politics of Star Wars. Who cares
Yeah.
about and so that we're just like we'll have Bert and Vicky driving around. By the way, once again, just totally in love with each other and just
Yeah.
having a great time
Yeah.
on this road trip.
Take,
And then
like, any
you'll
of
go to the
attention.
kids in the corner in the church, like talking about what are we gonna do today? Well, we gotta sacrifice somebody today, so congratulations. And,
Yeah,
and we'll go
that's
back to
it.
Bert and Vicky, who are still walking around what seems to be an abandoned town. You've sucked out the suspense.
Yeah.
We know it's not an abandoned town, so now we're just waiting for these kids to show up and for them to show up.
It's basically what every surprise birthday party is, because you know what's happening, and you walk in. Oh my god! Look, all my friends are here. Great! Like that's the exact feeling of this movie.
Yeah.
Everything's set up. You already know what's going to happen, and you have to kind of pretend and
Yeah.
be in their point of view.
And the opening
you know?
is pretty good. Like, I don't know, it's an okay,
Yeah.
it's an
But
okay montage of
listen,
death.
for lack of a better term, it blows its load in
Yeah.
the first
Yeah.
5-10 minutes. It's the maximum overdrive issue once again. Like all the best stuff is in the first 15
I don't-
minutes.
it creams its corn.
I don't remember any other. I know Isaac. I think he gets like lashed to a corn crucifix at the end. I don't
Oh, no,
remember.
no. Isaac becomes possessed also.
Oh, that's right.
And we'll talk about Isaac too.
Well, I'm just trying to remember. Like they show all these adult deaths in the beginning, and because the only adult characters in the movie, I think are oh, and there's the old man.
There's
at the gas
an old
station,
who's
right?
Prune Face from Dick Tracy, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
He shows up and he's literally just there. He kind of works
I got
for
way
the
too
kids.
excited about Prune Face.
Yeah,
by the way.
that was Prune Face.
That's more of an influence guy myself, but
He's literally there because we need to have at least one murder in this 90 minutes of a horror film, And so he serves his purpose, and he gets killed off.
Well, that's the
of course.
problem, is that you open with this massacre of the adults, and then like they kill a gas station guy, and then they only have 2 other characters to be killed by the
And
villains.
you know they're not going to die.
Yeah, again, it's like contrary to the short story. They don't, because they're like
Which
good
the
people.
short story, like their deaths are so horrific.
Yeah, and in this, so it's just like what other violence or deaths are there in this movie between the gas
There's a
station
whole
guy-
bunch of waiting around for this climax to come.
It's so
And
boring.
It's
And
just
and
eternally
how
boring.
about the ending of this movie?
Oh, God.
man.
We'll jump to the ending, but then the ending. Okay, so the ending, of course, this blotchy red monster he walks beyond words. Some of the worst special effects. I know it was 1984.
Did they show it?
Abysmal.
I thought they just
Oh,
showed
they
the-
show it. It's like this. I can't even describe it. It looks like animation, bad animation. It's like bed knobs and broomsticks on a Children of the Corn film. It's really bad. And so, but it ends with this bad jump scare where this little girl's in the back of a car and she goes to attack Bert. And then Bert, I think he punches her and knocks her out. And then he goes, "Oh, what do we do now?" And Vicky says, "We'll send her a postcard from Seattle because they're going to go to Seattle finally with the 2 surviving kids." We have a long shot of them leaving the car, no music. They kind of stand there for a second and they walk off, and then the credits start to just roll. What?
And you keep
weird.
You keep thinking the girl's gonna come back out of the car with a knife or something.
So
and
it
then-
ends on a bit. And then the credits just roll, and we're like, thanks for watching Children of the Corn.
Well, they look. It's like they look as confused about what they're supposed to do as what we're
Yeah,
supposed
like
to
when
do.
they're walking, it's like I just love it, like the image of them just walking from the car, like, is that it?
it?
Like just looking for the director.
It's like they were getting pages of the script every day,
Yeah.
and that they didn't realize that this was going to be the last scene.
Yeah.
And then they're like, cut. Like, all right, guys, thanks so much for a wonderful time on set. And they're like,
Oh wait, that's it?
wait, what?
Well, I feel like it was one of those things where they're like,
we just played that for laughs. Can we do another take?
I feel like it was one of those things where they actually had like 21 more days of shooting technically, but then they found the next day, we ran out of budget. So
They're like, guys,
there was no
we
farewell.
spent too much money on making the monster.
There
We've
are-
gotta cut.
But the good news is that they've greenlit like 4 more sequels. So this is we got a franchise on our hands.
a couple things I've got to mention. I wrote these down. These are direct quotes from the movie. I swear to God. One is this: "There's something very strange about this town." That's a line from the film. And the best though is, I'm not kidding, "What is it with this corn?
I remember that.
There's
What is it with this corn?"
know what the ending reminds me of? Have you guys seen Leviathan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which I don't
Oh,
love
you know
as
what
a-
though?
I love
I
Leviathan.
love the ending.
Me
it's-
and
It's so over the top.
In-
but
because that's when they
man.
shoot up into the out of the water. Though,
Well, no,
right?
that's
No. I'm talking about when
very
Weller.
end.
When Weller
It says he
punches out.
punches. Yeah,
So in the end of Leviathan, there's essentially it's kind of like a ripoff of Alien, but it's in underwater and it's
Kind
a
of.
deep sea monster. And it ends. Yeah, the 2 surviving characters get back up to the surface and they meet I guess like the Burke character from Aliens.
It's Meg Foster.
Yeah, and she's essentially funded the mission, made them go down there, and
Yeah.
she's like a corporate sleazeball. And she comes up to him, and Peter Weller decks her, and she falls into the bay, like she falls off the dock, and then I think the one woman goes like, "Feel better?" And he's like, "I do now." And then they leave, and like that's
And
the
that's
credits.
it.
And then it
I
just
mean,
ends.
I mean that at least is a button a little bit, but it reminded me
Yeah.
of the same thing. Like, we're just gonna punch a woman and then roll
But that,
credits.
that movie is just like over the top and
Yeah.
crazy and it's a monster movie, so
Yeah.
you give it some. I laughed.
It's
out loud
better
when I saw
than
that.
Leviathan's better than Children of the Corn.
Children of the Corn tries to be
that
scary
we're
and
talking
tries keyword tries to be scary. So but that ending just does not. It comes out of nowhere.
the Leviathan, did that come out after The Abyss or around the time?
That was right before The Abyss, I think.
So it was right before The Abyss. Wow.
Well,
so-
I'm sorry, because Deep Star 6 was 86.
and Alan Silvestri did the score to the Abyss.
Ooh, I love The
Oh,
Abyss.
I take it
actually.
back. That's got a good score.
Abyss has another King regular, Ed Harris.
Oh
Yeah.
So,
I think the best way to sum up just how inept Children of the Corn is that in the original theatrical trailer, Stephen King's name is spelled Steve.
oh my God! Really?
This is 10 years later. This isn't like he just showed up on the scene.
No, it's funny. When I first started going to the library when I was like 8, 9, and I was like allowed to read Stephen King books, I would go to the old computers that were just like the orange
bang,
text
bang.
on the black screen, and I would always because I didn't know how to search for books or anything. Like I could just gone to horror and looked on K. But so I would look up Stephen King and I would always spell it with a V and nothing came up and I'm like, how do they not have Stephen King? It's like the most popular. And like then I realized like, oh, it's PH.
Did you lose like 3 years of this?
Yeah, just like
Like
what
you
the
finally
fuck?
like some woman goes like, Oh, are you looking for? It's Stephen P.H.
Yeah,
Thanks, Mrs. Blair. But there's
Linda Blair.
one more thing before we go. One more thing before we go. We didn't mention John Franklin, who plays Isaac. Who's supposed to be this creepy kid. He's 25 years old in the movie, by the way.
Wait. He has a like growth deficiency hormone.
He does.
thing,
But fear not. If you want to see more of John Franklin, just go to YouTube and type in "Kids Incorporated: The Leprechaun."
Oh, is he? I
He
remember Kids
plays
Incorporated. Yeah.
a mythical, magical leprechaun in the episode of Kids Incorporated. Anybody remembers that show?
I do.
And he puts on an Irish accent too, and his face is painted green.
Well, doesn't he?
You gotta watch this.
But wait,
It's great.
if you want to see more of him too, you can also watch most of the Children of the Corn
Oh
sequels.
no, he's only in Children of the Corn 666. Isaac's Returned.
But Isaac's in most of them, though.
The characters, but the actor only returns for the 6.
But I thought doesn't he direct one of them or something?
Oh God!
I'm serious.
You know what?
Yeah.
Again, we did not take the time to watch all of the Children of the Corn films.
He also played cousin It in the Addams Family movies.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Let me look at this. Children.
The
Isaac's
movies,
Return.
the actual, like the
Yeah,
ones
yeah.
with like Raul Julia.
Yeah, he's got like the hair on and stuff.
I always like I think I like the Barry Sonnenfeld's like Addams Family better than the actual TV show.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
TV show is just a big goof.
It's just
from
a
the
dumb
60s.
sitcom, but like the movies are great.
Yeah.
He also had. Sorry, I mean this is actually kind of touching. So he did in 1999. He did Children of the Corn 666. I was wrong. He didn't do any of the other ones. And he said Franklin formerly worked as an English teacher at Golden Valley High School in Santa Clarita, California. He explained, after the events of 9/11, I saw the shallowness of showbiz and felt a great desire to leave a greater legacy than just being cousin It. Teaching seemed to be a perfect fit for my theatrical talents and to touch many lives, which is a nice quote. I just think it's
nice.
Yeah.
It's nice. Also, did you mention the fact that nobody was hiring him anymore?
Yeah. Oh, come on.
Hey, did he also forget? He totally like bailed on his Children of the Corn background.
Hey, no, wait,
He
that's
came
a...
back, like I said, though.
I know,
Yeah,
but like
you know,
when he
I-
makes this quote, like he could have been like, it wasn't just cousin It. He was also,
I guess,
legendary
Isaac,
Isaac.
I
Yeah.
guess you are right because... Yeah, the last movie he did before that was a 2000 movie, so I think maybe the stars aligned for him to go into teaching. But he came back and did a movie called Hag and Hell's Kitty last year.
I just think it's funny, and maybe not funny, tragic more, and weird that he would say it's been great being this cousin It. He's covered. Nobody knows who he is. Isaac, his face is forever. We know who Isaac is.
I will say too, he's not.
Why wouldn't you
He's
reference
not
Isaac?
bad in Children of the Corn. He's not.
I
the
don't
problem.
know.
He's not the problem
Guys,
with the
I
movie.
don't know.
after hearing us talk about Children of the Corn, I think we know why he distanced himself.
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
movie.
I don't know. I thought he was pretty bad. I
Well,
saw him recently, and
Okay. In
We got more corn.
We got more corn, baby.
Oh, man.
Because maybe they thought in 2009 they finally realized maybe all these sequels aren't really working out, and we should just reboot this whole thing. And so in 2009 they did that with a movie called Children of the Corn.
Now here's the thing.
What a weird, totally different title.
Here's the thing with this movie. I really do respect the thought behind this because they go, no, we want to make something that is more in line with Stephen King's story and is really scary and blah, blah, blah. Totally agree with all that because it is one of my favorite short stories by him. Now, we've covered this to death about all these things. This aired on, I believe, on Sci-Fi. So it didn't have to be a feature length. They didn't need to do a 2-hour block or whatever. Do an hour special. You can do a great Children of the Corn adaptation that is right from the book and has that tone. Instead, they decided to make it 90 minutes for whatever reason. Now, I watched this last night, and I'd watched it like a while ago, but I rewatched it last night. Now, to be fair, they do everything that happens in Stephen King's original short story does happen in this. Like, they hit all the events, but they pad it out with bullshit again, and they do they make the same egregious error that the original movie makes, and that they open with not with the massacre of the adults, but they open with the congregation of kids and them essentially deciding to worship he who walks behind the rose. So bottom line is you know already that it's going to be this town of all these creepy kids. Now, you probably know that going into Children of the Corn because by that point we've heard it, but it still ruins the mystery because you see all these kids all of a sudden, you know what's going on, and so that sucks the mystery out of it right away. And then, they do the couple. They actually said it in the 70s, which is kind of cool.
Huh.
They have, they have the couple. The woman's played by Candice McClure, Battlestar Galactica, and they actually double down on it, making them so unlikable. They do the hitting and the yelling, but it's like the Shining miniseries. Just because you make something faithful to the source material doesn't mean it's good necessarily. The acting is not great, and once they hit the kid with the slit throat, they start going back and forth between the kids'
there we
perspective
go.
again. They which kills it. They show the kids watching them, and none of the kids are great actors. The kid who plays Isaac, I mean, they cast like an actual like. This kid can't be more than 8, but they're having him spew all these biblical passages the whole time, and he just can't handle them. And so anyway, so
Do they die in the end?
Yeah, so they
Okay.
die. So I will say the one good thing
wow.
is they actually do the corn in the eyes, and it's very creepy and all that.
That's always been an image that's laughing.
It is, and they actually have the gore effects are really good. They do some of that creepy stuff, but you know the kids' costumes, they're on like that Amish clothing, and it looks like it was bought. Which is what those kids would be wearing, but they did nothing to make these kids, probably found in Southern California or wherever, they did nothing to make them look like rugged, dirty, Midwestern kids who have been living on their own. You know,
They had like mohawks and like tattoos.
well, they just have like there's still like some hunks in there.
jackets, some hunks.
Like the guy who plays Malachi is like kind of like almost like a '90s like Devin Sawa or something, like long hair, and so
Hot as hell.
they do have all this stuff. They even show the creepy like green Jesus painting, which is kind of cool
Oh,
and all
nice.
that. But they run in that problem. They trying to expand everything. So when Bert runs into the corn, he is just running through the corn for so long. Oh, and he's a Vietnam vet, which I think he's in the book too. He starts having Vietnam flashbacks when he and starts killing the kids, like imagining.
Oh,
like
no.
I will say they kill a lot of kids in this. That's kind of cool.
That's nice.
But they do.
You heard it here, folks.
Like for a shitty horror movie about creepy kids, like at least do that. So the gore is good. But then they do things like when you know how he gets stabbed by just one of the kids in the books. They do that, but it's Isaac who does it, and Isaac is on a rooftop in town square, and the rest of the kids have him hold, and he's like preaching to them. He takes his pocket knife, throwing it down from a roof like a ninja, and it hits Bert. And he's like, "Oh, you little fucker!" And like
That's so funny.
I always thought
it's
that
crazy.
that scene in the actual story is so bizarre.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, oh,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
what happened? Like it feels very, just kind of like I hate using the word perfunctory all the time, but it's just like,
Yeah.
wouldn't you like kind of back away a little bit more if somebody was like, if all these knives were coming? I don't know.
One and then speaking of like going over the top, and then I think they did this probably was on Sci-Fi, but on the director's cut, because Sci-Fi always does that, like Battlestar Galactica, Razor, they like put all this nudity in the home video version that obviously was in it.
No reason.
So while Bert is literally wandering through the corn for the last 30 minutes of this movie, and this is where they add all this shit with the kids. Isaac and the congregation. Which I guess this makes sense. I guess this is to make sure they have more kids and keep the population going. Isaac makes this like young kid couple, not young, they're like 17 probably, disrobe and have sex on the altar in front. It's like pretty graphic in front of all the kids, and the kids are all
And an 8-year-old's like bleeding.
Yeah, and so all the kids are getting excited about it, and our friend Paul and I were watching this morning. We were like, you know, they probably just filmed that separate and then cut back and forth between the kids. But like, oh, but these like 8-year-old extras were on set. They're probably like, oh my god, like. But so the kids are like, hopping up and down. This like young couple's like fucking on an altar, and so. I don't know.
It's nothing that no Hollywood kids haven't seen before.
Oh yeah, they probably see it. Yeah,
That's true.
Yeah,
so
all Hollywood 8-year-olds.
So, part of me admires how nuts the movie gets with the nudity and the sex. Like it does deliver on the more visceral aspects of a horror movie, and I do like that it somewhat embodies the tone of Stephen King's original short story. However, it should have been an hour. It should not. You shouldn't see those kids. You should not see those kids until Bert figures it out. Because what's the point of him figuring out if he's seen it already?
No. I mean,
And that's my main issue. And the acting isn't great either. So I think it's slightly...
but it's certainly more faithful.
It's more faithful, and it's slightly more entertaining, even just from like a violence standpoint than the original. Like you don't have that like, fuck, how long are we gonna wait for all this? So it's and then in the and they do the thing at the end with like the age being lowered and the 18-year-olds walking into the
that's
court.
cool.
But it's acted like kind of crappily. And then the very but that's done in like an Easter egg scene. It's weird. So it ends with
It's like a post-credits thing?
yeah, so they end with like you see Bert and Vicky as the scarecrows, which is like really it's really unnerving. I will say the corn in the eye is very creepy still, but the very last line before the credits is this little crappy kid actor as Isaac walks past Bert is like on the cross. And he looks at him. He just goes, "Scarecrow!" And then, and then the credits roll, and then you see the kids going into the corn, and you keep thinking like, "Oh, cool! They might show he walks behind the rose now." But and they do the thing of Malachi being like, "All right, I must go in the corn," and they just go in the corn.
Just more kids having sex.
No, yeah, you see that? No, they just go in the corn. And that's it. You don't see them get killed.
Like
it's
it's low budget.
Low budget, yeah, for sure. So anyway, that's my summary. Not good by any means. I still think if you did, like you said, do Children of the Corn as an anthology thing.
Yeah.
Don't show those kids until
Yeah.
they get to the town. I think they could do a really good.
Did they have after the sex? Did they eat donuts or anything?
they eat
no
corn
donuts.
probably. Yeah. God.
Yeah,
I've had plenty of helpings of corn at this point.
we're going to now that we've covered all the full-length films from Night Shift, we're going to talk about some of the shorts that have been made. Obviously, we didn't watch all of them. There's so many out there, but we're going to talk about some ones that we found notable. And the first would be a non-horror story, The Woman in the Room.
Yeah, one of my earlier memories is of going to Blockbuster, and they had a VHS copy of The Woman in the Room and The Boogeyman that you could rent.
It's the Night Shift
It
collection.
was a Night Shift collection, yeah, exactly. But I didn't rent it.
Well, it'd be kind of a disappointing rental. It'd be like, what, 50 minutes?
Yeah,
If that?
I mean, well, yeah, there's definitely short films, you know. But so it took me, I guess, 30 years before I finally watched The Woman in the Room. And what's very notable about this is Frank Darabont's introduction into the King canon. This is a short film by him that he proposed to do back in 1980. So he was very young when he asked King to do this. It took him a few years to get it all together.
Was he at film school still, I guess?
Yeah,
or-
at that time. Did anybody else here see The Woman in the Room?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did.
I've
Oh,
seen it.
you've
Yeah.
seen it? It's available on YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube.
I remember seeing it also in that VHS collection, and I wanted to rent it just because I was into like everything King at that moment. But my dad, I hadn't read either of those stories yet. My dad was like, "Yeah, you're not going to want to watch these." Like, and he was
maybe
probably
not.
right.
He
Like
was right.
as a 9-year-old, I don't think I was going to give a
Yeah.
shit about it. But and Frank Darabont, I mean, I think it's telling that he went on to do 2 of the strongest Stephen King full-length adaptations.
Yeah,
like,
he's
of
got a
all
really
time.
good
He has
handle.
3.
3. Which one?
He has The Mist.
Yeah.
He has,
Green Mile.
Green Mile. And then he also
Oh,
Shawshank.
Shawshank! Jesus,
Yeah.
3 of the best. Yeah,
Yeah.
Missed. Anyway, we'll get to that
We'll get to
later.
that.
But yeah,
Right.
but and I think this is. I think it's super telling. The Woman in the Room. I mean, it definitely has that grainy kind of like.
Oh, it's very low budget, obviously.
but
you know.
it does. Even just the way the mom looks in the hospital, like he captures that kind of like yellowing environment.
Oh,
It's
no,
just-
absolutely.
The,
Yeah.
the
Yellowing
atmosphere
environment.
is, I mean, especially the hospital room itself is just how you picture it
Yeah.
when you're reading the short story. I mean, it's really, we talked about, I feel a strong connection to that short story, and I really do think he does a terrific job of the adaptation. This was on the short list, apparently, for Best Short Film at the Academy Awards the year it came out.
Oh,
Wow, really, man.
But what's funny about that is that Darabont's kind of dismissed it. And I think it's in a way, though, where you would look back on something that you did 35
I
years
know,
ago and
okay,
said,
that's not- yeah.
you know, well, I didn't have the budget, I didn't have the greatest people available, but the
He didn't have
The-
William Sadler in it.
that would be this would have been perfect though. 1983 Bill Sadler would have been terrific in that
Yeah.
role.
Or even
But-
like Laurie Holden as the mother.
Lori Holden. Now she
In
she
1983.
can play the mother now. Probably.
Yeah, when she was like 18.
But there's a
Yeah.
couple additions that they make to this. Half of it is actually him talking. He's a lawyer in this.
Yeah.
And he talks to a prisoner, his client, about death and what it's like to kill a person, because he's contemplating, obviously, ending his mother's life. But what's really notable is the prisoner that he represents is the same prisoner. Well, it's the same actor who plays the prisoner in Shawshank, who brags about killing Andy's wife. So I was looking very closely at his
you
number to
think
see
it's
if it was
the
the same,
same-
if they were trying to do the same character. But 2 things. It takes
Shawshank
place in the
is-
80s.
Yeah, I was gonna.
and also the character in this is he's a much nicer,
Yeah.
as nice as you can be if you're a killer.
Well, and I do like that framing device. We've talked a
Yeah.
lot about stupid things they add to these films to pad them out, and I actually think that's something that directly comments on.
Yeah.
I mean, it maybe goes into over expository territory that the short story does not, but I like that. I like the idea that that's a great like profession to add in to tie back.
And-
the idea of killing someone.
and to that, I mean, it does feel like it could just be that specific moment with the lawyer and the prisoner feels like it could just be like a staged play. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
very filmic, if you want to use that expression.
yeah.
But I mean, there's not a whole lot to say. If you've read the story, again, the short story is about this man who goes to visit his mother in the hospital, and she is dying a slow death, essentially. And he has to make that decision. Does he just wait and watch her in pain, knowing that she's not going to get any better, or does he make an active attempt to end her life on his own terms? And I mean, that's the adaptation is no different.
I mean, it's a surprising adaptation because it's really hard. It's
Yeah.
a lot of it's internal monologue. So it's, you know, you got to think like, how would you be able to kind of put it to, you know, screen? And I think this really shows Darabont's strengths as a screenwriter and a filmmaker in the sense that he was able to he just knows how to get in that world of Stephen King and present it in a way that is so like tangible. And that's what's so great about all his adaptations. Like, you know, all his characters, like you don't really spend much time with this guy, but you really do get him.
He does have a way.
Empathize.
He does have a way of adapting King's dialogue.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do it word for word all the time, but he does have. I think he just has a shared voice in terms of knowing how to tap into like common people, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that.
I 100% agree
Yeah.
because that's the thing about Night Shift is 18 of the stories are just supernatural or disturbing, mystery, suspenseful, and then you got the woman in the room
And the last
run the ladder. And so think about this: when he proposed to make this, you know, when he proposed to King that he wanted to make this, all that had come out at this point in terms of
movies.
what King was known for was Carrie, Salem's Lot, and The Shining. So for him to say, you know what, no, I see something in this dramatic short story.
And the Dead Zone, right?
That happens to be... No, Dead Zone was a couple years later.
Was it really?
Well, he proposed in 80 to do it. Dead Zone came out
okay.
years later.
Gotcha, yeah.
So just Darabont knew then what King was capable of, not just horror.
It speaks to what he really connected with King. Because like think about it, like The Mist was 2007. He didn't. That was the only one that really has anything to do with any sort of like
monsters,
horror.
Like
Because,
Green Mile is
supernatural.
but
Yeah, but even then, it's
not scary.
It's not very scary, and it's a kind of a reach to even put it in. It's still a dramatic. It's a very literary work of fiction.
Yeah.
I would say. You know, so I think that's interesting. I think this is a kind of cool. You know, we have an early feature on our site called DNA that would also trace and dissect all the sort of motifs and hallmarks of a filmmaker. And I think this is a great example of that.
Yeah.
And it goes to the leisurely pace too, which is absolutely echoed, especially in something like Green Mile.
And
there's
it's-
no
Green Mile
rush,
takes its time.
you know?
Yeah.
It almost predates because it's funny now because when like I'm reading the Bizarre Bad Dreams right now, and that's actually for having that title is not a lot of supernatural stuff. And a lot of those stories have gotten pretty prestigious awards, and like I think it's safe to say now that even though King is still mostly known for horror, it's not a stretch to recognize him. Like everyone knows Shawshank and Stand By Me and all that. But back when Night Shift came out, I don't even think like The Woman in the Room and The Last Rung on the Ladder, I don't even think those were like well-known stories by even the point that when Frank Darabont wanted to adapt it. So I would argue that, you know, when Stand By Me came along, that was the first adaptation where they actively didn't want to promote the fact that it was Stephen King.
Yeah.
Like, they were like, oh, let's just make this a movie. But The Woman in the Room almost predates that. Like he was, not that he didn't want to say it wasn't Stephen King, but this idea of, no, yeah, I recognize that there's this other side to him as a writer, and that's why I'm interested, and that's what I'm going to capitalize on. And I think he does to great effect in that.
Well, I think like when we're on that term, we're gonna go from not capitalizing, like finding the other side of King, to indulging probably the basest side of King with the next short, which is the Mr. Boge E. Man, the Bogeman,
Beaumont,
Bogeyman. Yeah, it's funny because I mean I get why they package these together, but they're similar in that the Boogeyman, the Dollar Baby version, doesn't make it as explicitly supernatural as the book, all right, so the book we went over, it's about this guy whose the short story, this guy whose kids have systematically been killed by what he calls the Boogeyman, and in the short story you're like, is it the Boogeyman or is it him? And he's telling this to a psychiatrist, and then the story confirms at the end that indeed it is the Boogeyman, because he goes back into the office and the psychiatrist is there like with a human mask in his head, and it's the Boogeyman. Now, the movie's interesting because, and I think this is more just symptomatic of not having a lot of money, when they go to that section in the movie, they just kind of do this like, doctor, where are you? And the doctor's face kind of comes out and it flashes and there's like some crazy noise and then it blacks out. But it's not like super clear whether it's like, oh, is this guy the Boogeyman or is it something else?
Well, he takes off the human mask, so that
It's
I
like,
mean, here's the thing. It's a very low budget production.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like almost in line with the Lawnmower Man
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. And it makes the woman in the room look like it was Chariots of Fire in terms of production value.
Yeah.
But there's something like I guess charming is the word. Like what they were able to pull off with no budget, and you got pretty good performances out of
the main dude who plays
the character.
Lester, like
Yeah.
he captures just that gross ass scummy dialogue
Yeah,
really well.
absolutely.
You know, I think because we talked about this the other week, I love that ending of the Boogeyman, and I love how it's like, you know, he talks about like the seaweed voice and the sort of like doesn't he compare it when he sees the Boogeyman shaking his kid? It's like a hunched over scarecrow thing or something like that.
like something from Tales from the Crypt. He says.
Yeah, and although he keeps it fairly impressionistic, like he doesn't go super into what the Boogeyman looks like, there are enough details that are oh cool, and I wish they could have done that here, and I know they couldn't. It's just a money issue.
It's
but,
definitely a money issue because you can
Yeah.
tell when they cut away from him revealing
Yeah.
himself as the Boogeyman. It's quick cuts and like camera flipping and strobes.
Yeah, and it is a nasty little movie, and I think
Yeah, it is.
it's been a little while since I've watched it, but like, does he get as disgusting with the dialogue as Lester Billings does, like with the racial stuff and the queer stuff and all that?
No, I think they toned down on that a little
they
bit.
did.
He's a
Yeah.
little more sympathetic, but he's definitely disturbed, and he's definitely not a perfect ideal.
And
father.
just has that like that 70s like almost porn cinematography.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
that's the
Makes
best
it,
way
yeah.
to describe
It
it.
does, and it's so low budget that you're on board with like what's going on. Like I guess it's so low budget and it feels so real to an extent that you don't believe him either
Yeah,
about the Boogeyman stuff, you know. And it just seems, and he's such a seedy person. You do kind of just think this guy is
Yeah.
responsible, you know. Like he's the one that's like
Yeah.
killing them. And I wish they could have done more with the reveal, but. I thought it worked though.
Yeah, it's
and,
still good, yeah.
And you know, maybe going into it knowing the story, we were kind of built up a little bit more. But I did think it ended up working really well.
well, that's the thing. I mean, it's around the time of, if not precursor to the true like dollar babies that King still
Because these were
allows.
the first two, I think, right?
Yeah,
Weren't they?
I mean, these are like these were like the biggest ones of that era,
Yeah.
I guess, at the very least. And it just goes to show like the dedication and the love that King's fans have, because these
Yeah.
are all passion projects. These are not like assignments or
Yeah.
done for hires. I mean, these filmmakers love these stories, and they want to tell these stories in the way that they've always seen them.
And I
there's-
think-
I love that about the Dollar Babies.
I think even me too, and I think even in the worst dollar babies, because there's actually a newer version of the Boogeyman that I watched. It's all right. That's not great. It's English and it came out a few years, or British. I can't. No, it's British. It's either Scottish or English. I can't remember. It came out like a few years ago, and they actually do they show the Boogeyman quite a bit, and it's like obviously just this like rubber mask. It doesn't look great. Now it doesn't have the nastiness that this one does, but there still is something cool about its spirit. Like
Yeah.
there's something that does radiate from all these dollar babies. Even the Lawnmower Man one we brought up, which is very faithful. Not necessarily a great movie, but there's something like scrappy about it that just like we're doing this podcast here. We just started because we don't make a bunch of money on this podcast, listeners, but
Spoiler.
yeah, but we really we love talking about Stephen King, and a lot of you have left comments. Someone on iTunes left a comment about how they would watch like four hobos standing around a trash can fire talking about Stephen King. I think if you're into his work, you totally sympathize with that sentiment. Like that is how you feel. And that every dollar baby, even the worst ones, I think had that about it.
Yes.
Like there's the love that comes out that I really do enjoy.
Well, if there's one thing that I know for certain, it's that this Boogeyman is much better than the Hollywood 2004 The Boogeyman.
That has nothing to do with Stephen King.
No,
right?
no,
Yeah.
it's so bad. That was the movie I remember I was on a roller coaster with it because the whole question is whether or not the Boogeyman's real, and I spent the whole movie going, okay, the only way this movie can redeem itself is if the Boogeyman's not real and this guy's crazy, and then 5 minutes later I'd be like, okay, now the Boogeyman has to be real.
Yeah.
And I literally kept doing that the whole time. Spoiler alert, it's real.
Does he look cool?
No.
No,
It's all
really?
CGI. It's really bad.
Oh man.
Well, let's move on then. And kind of, again, we're going back to the opposite spectrum of the Boogeyman with Night Surf.
Well, we were talking a lot about the Dollar Babies,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the offshoot story that's loosely related to The Stand. It was written before
Yeah.
The Stand was published. It was published in 1969 in a magazine. So it basically tells the story about a bunch of bastard kids that go and enjoy a night like over by the beach. In New Hampshire
During the apocalypse.
During the apocalypse, they've all survived this Asian flu of sorts, but then they start realizing that one of their members is actually getting sick, and
one of the main characters, Bernie, is like basically like related, seemingly spiritually related to Charlie Decker in terms of being an asshole. Starts questioning his own sort of mortality also, and it's quasi coming of age in the sense of a way, but they burn some buddy at at a pyre as a sacrifice to whatever gods to. The guy was like, they find this guy and he's sick and they kill him, and you realize these kids are really just far beyond any sort of reasoning. And the main protagonist is clearly not happy with the woman that he has to sleep with,
his
lady friend. So there's been a bunch of adaptations for this.
It's
story
an easy one to
because
adapt.
it's easy to adapt. You just need a beach, you need a bunch of kids, and it's the Peter Sullivan, who's this writer and director. He actually won the rights with the Dollar Baby bidding, and he made one in 2002, which is really not good. Like it's awful. It looks like a bunch of friends got together, wanted to make this movie, and halfway through are kind of like, I don't know if we're really into this anymore.
Yeah.
And it's very like the acting is awful. Like it looks like it's shot on like a VHS camcorder.
I'm trying to think because I've seen. I'm trying to think of the one I saw. The one I saw was like a lot sleeker looking.
Yeah,
but that's
there's some later ones that are great.
Yeah.
Like there was one in 2010 that I wasn't too big on, but the two ones that I really like were 2014's American Set one, which was about 12 minutes long by Oren Benenbar. That one is pretty decent. Like it's very faithful to the story. They don't actually burn any. They actually don't do the. I don't think either.
That's the one I saw. Are the guys a little broy?
They're
in
very
this one?
broy.
That was my only issue.
Yeah,
with
and
it,
like the thing is like if it's more modern update, I can see why they're doing
Yeah.
that.
I will say though, sorry to cut off, but I kind of felt like they were pretty broy
They
in
are.
the original version. Though.
You
They're
think
kind
so?
of
Yeah.
douchebag.
Yeah.
But the
I
problem
think
is
so.
that you're having it broy in 1970s versus broy of like the millennium, like
just
the
how
aughts
they
is
look.
different.
Just how you
Yeah.
these
Like-
guys who had like more like I don't remember they actually had this. I almost pictured like bead necklaces and like backwards.
They look.
hats
They
and
basically look
stuff,
like
yeah.
the extras in like American Pie too.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
like yeah, it's decent. It's all right. It doesn't really. It captures the sort of like malaise of like the post-apocalyptic kind of.
The dialogue's very deadpan.
Dialogue's very
Yeah.
deadpan.
Okay.
But the best version is by Tony Pomfret, which is actually set. They moved the action to the UK.
Oh, I gotta
and it's
watch
14
that.
minutes. The cinematography is great.
Yeah.
It's shot very. Similar to like Skins,
Yeah.
and,
Okay, cool.
You know, in MTV or like the original one that before it went to MTV, and the acting is like really solid.
Yeah.
and it's a little jarring because it's in the UK.
Yeah.
which is kind of funny because in the actual short story there's a reference to like the waters coming from London.
Mm-hmm.
Like I bet you that the waters came from London here a few days ago or weeks ago
Yeah.
or whatever. But
Is it did they set it in the 70s or anything?
they
Or
don't
is
set
it-
in the 70s.
Yeah.
Like none of them are set in the 70s. Just because again it's like a short film, so
Yeah,
it's
to
like
do-
hard to.
You don't want to do period costumes.
do the period
I
stuff.
think with a story like this, you don't necessarily have to.
You don't have
it
to.
be
No,
a-
no,
you
yeah,
can have
yeah.
it set whenever.
Well,
Because,
for
I
me,
mean-
it's more like the idea of listening to like a radio DJ and some of the songs they listen
Yeah.
to. But I mean,
like their
that's
iPod or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of the DJ, none of the adaptations actually even have the radio DJ, which is one of my favorite parts of the actual story. But I mean, look, this last one, the UK version, I really like it. There's great cinematography. The actual overall scope of it is really nice, but I still think there is a better adaptation to be done.
I think of all the shorts, this might be one of the rare ones that you could actually truly successfully adapt into a full length film. Mm-hmm. Would anybody agree with me on that?
I can see that. I mean,
there's a lot
kinda
of
like-
that world to explore. I mean, like I said, I'm not at all against padding out a shorter story in a movie adaptation. I just think it has to be padded out with valid stuff. You know, I don't like the Children of the Corn ones. It's just like, really, that's all you could think
Or
of.
the Mangler with Robert Englund's character.
Hey, I like that. I like that little reveal that you guys told me about. Like we've been burned by the Mangler, so we worship it now.
That's
telling you
because
right now-
that's because it's like such a South
no.
Park
I hate
thing.
to keep going back to this, but that is like plot device number 87. It's mentioned like for a split second.
Yeah.
The movie's absolutely
It's because
awful.
they have to warrant it's 100 or an hour 50-minute runtime. They're like, oh, what else can we shoehorn in here? I mean, looking back at this book, and if we were actually going to see like proper adaptations, like I do think a Night Surf thing could happen, like very Linklater-esque type thing.
Yes.
But I mean, I really want like a One for the Road, but I don't know how you do it with it unless you don't have like a Salem's Lot thing. Like that's why like you need a cinematic universe of Stephen King.
But I
Yeah.
think One for the Road would work again, like in an anthology movie.
Yeah.
as like a great like
But
35, 40 minute. Sure, I
But you
think that would
still
be really
need
effective.
the
But you
Salem's
need
Lot.
Salem's
Know what you do. Know what you do. I have no idea if they're planning on doing another Salem's Lot in the next few years or anything. What you do what Wes Anderson did with it was a Darjeeling Limited that had
Yes.
the hotel thing beforehand. You have whoever the director is do this like 20 to 30 minute short film that's one for the road, because it's kind of cool if you watch the after effects and then because they don't reveal. They don't spoil anything in One for the Road.
because they don't know Ben Mears or anybody like that.
Yeah,
you know?
so you do it like that, and then
You
because
just know the town's pretty burnt down, and
But how did they get there?
But what about Jerusalem's Lot? Yeah, I mean that's another one I'd like to see.
Del Toro would be pretty good on
Yeah,
it.
and I don't know if that could be like a dollar baby. I think that's another one that would need like
You have to have
a
a budget
budget.
for
You
that.
need a worm.
And you could
Gotta eat a worm.
maybe make that into like an hour or so. It's
Yeah.
a pretty long one, but
Unless you like got the actor who played Worm in Friday.
I
Who's
think
worm in
He
Friday?
was the drug dealer or whatever. But
I think it's funny that, as we've been talking about, it's like we keep going like, oh well, you could make this into a longer movie, and I think that's what all these people did. Was they were set out to maybe make a short film, and then they were like, oh, well, actually, we can make this a feature-length film, and it was garbage. So stick to the 30-minute, 40-minute.
I mean, with
Come
rare
on, guys.
exception, we like sometimes they come back.
Yeah,
What
let's
other-
let's
let's-
go
yeah, let's
go
go through
through and let's say watch or don't watch.
yeah.
yeah.
Let's start from the beginning with Graveyard Shift. Watch or don't watch.
Really quick.
No.
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 Whoa, unanimous. Number 2, what do we got here? The Mangler. Watch, don't watch. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah, you gotta see it.
Actually, I would say yes. Doesn't mean it's good, but you've got to check out Robert Englund in The Mangler.
YouTube the scenes. YouTube the
You
scenes.
said that like a Peter Travers quote or something.
You've got to see. He's fantastic.
I wonder if Peter Travers gave this movie. He was probably writing for Rolling Stone at the time.
You probably didn't review it out.
The year's greatest film. I would say no. Unless you have a great large pizza with you, that's say no.
I'm on board with what you're saying.
Don't
worry.
Yeah.
Just YouTube the clips.
Did you
Okay.
say a great large pizza?
Like if you have a great large pizza,
that is such a weird way to say
a great
that.
large, yeah, it is kind of a weird.
What's funny is
a great
it-
white shark,
it
great
only-
large pizza.
It only took us 2 movies to go away from our just say yes or no.
Yeah.
Where's,
All right.
Allison would have righted this ship. By
Yeah,
now.
I know.
Battleground in the Nightmares and Dreamscapes. I haven't seen it, but it sounds good.
Yeah, definitely check it out. It's on YouTube. Check it out.
I haven't seen it.
Yes, definitely.
I'm a yes.
Maximum Overdrive. I'm gonna say watch the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, watch the first 20 minutes and then just eject.
Hey, I'm gonna say yes. I like
We already know.
That's enough from Dan. I'm gonna say no.
A hard no.
I'm gonna say yes, but watch the first 15 minutes. I'm just gonna keep shortening this time until we get to 0.
Well, I'm the only one who watched 1997 Trucks, and I'm gonna give it a hard no.
Even with Busfield?
Busfield, watch
what if you're
Little
a
Big League.
What if you're a Busfield completist?
If you're a Busfield completist, then you gotta watch it.
and you have
But-
a really sad hobby.
And you've got to watch another USA movie he made called Strays about mean cats.
Ooh.
Oh no, are the cats the bad guys?
Oh, yes.
I can't watch that movie.
Oh, no.
I love kitties.
Next movie.
The Ledge in Cat's Eye. Yes or no?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Cat's Eye all the way through.
Yeah, Cat's
Absolutely.
Eye, the whole movie.
Well, then we're just gonna say a yes for Quitters Inc. too. So,
Yeah, I'm all in.
I think it's a yes throughout the whole thing. And then we've got the Lawnmower Man. I have a huge confession. I've never seen it.
I have not seen it either.
I'm gonna say no. It's not the worst movie in the world, but it's just given the crazy lead up to every. No.
No.
I'm gonna revise and say watch the trailer for the virtual reality sex, the hint of it, because it's so titillating.
Skip the original one and just go straight to Job's War.
Watch the trailer for Lawnmower Man 2 Beyond Cyberspace.
Yeah.
AKA Job's War. It's a lot of fun.
For Matt Furrer.
There's sword fighting.
Okay.
Yeah, there is sword fighting.
Children of the Corn. Hard no.
No.
For both of them.
Yeah.
I don't. Although the remake has more things to praise, I still don't think it's worth your time.
That's an absolute hard no on the on the Horton star, on the Horton vehicle.
Yes, I mean no.
And I should say we all have a pretty high tolerance for shitty horror movies.
Yes, we do. Like,
Not Children of the Corn.
Let's emphasize that we are not snobs here.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Woman in the Room short. I've not seen it.
Not seen it.
Yes, absolutely watch it.
Absolutely watch it.
Yep.
Boogeyman.
Yep. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Night Surf. Which version?
Go for 2015. 15.
That's what's out.
Which
Yeah,
we're gonna post on our socials.
I'm gonna
for
go
sure.
home and watch that.
It's
Cool.
good.
Well, I think that about wraps it up. Guys, we're through Night Shift. What a journey.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
we
wait.
forgot one more.
Oh, we forgot sometimes they come back. I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Haven't seen it.
Yes, definitely.
Mike
I have
hasn't
not
seen
seen
it. Okay. So now we're done with Night Shift officially. And so that means in 2 weeks we're coming at you with The Stand, which is going to unfold over... We're not sure how many episodes yet.
We got some special surprises.
Yeah, we've got some surprises in store for it. We've been working. We got a lot of plans because The Stand's a big one. So if you haven't started your reread yet, you better get on that.
And Allison will be back for that episode.
Allison will be
Allison's
back.
back.
Until next time, long days and pleasant nights, constant listeners.
Bye bye Night Shift.
Bye bye Night Shift.
I love you.
I got some hot friends. God, I got some hot friends. I got some hot friends. God, I got some hot friends. But you want somebody to treat you good.
Consequence Podcast Network.